Just breathe slowly.
In
And out.
Sometimes, love is the cure.
Hello everyone, welcome to What If Tanjiro Went in Depression and Fell in Love with Shinobu Kochou movie. Before we start, please go support YoriichiTsuyikune for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken characters' gender, but of course Tanjiro is a male. Tanjiro, you would love me even knowing that I am a cruel and depressive person. Shinobu, I love you no matter what you are. Tanjiro, the boy who lost everything he cared about, became a cold and depressed person, ignoring the other people who supported him and tried to cheer him up. But only one person reached his heart and pulled him out of the shadows that distanced him from his emotions and feelings. Prologue. Dawn was breaking, illuminating the entire city of Tokyo, where the air was cold, while several cherry blossom trees shed their flowers. But we are not here to talk about the place, we will talk about a boy with red hair as well as his eyes. His height was about 1.70, and his forehead showed a scar in the shape of a flame. At 6 a.m., it's time for me to get up and start my day. After all, I start school tomorrow. His serious expression and voice were very common for the boy who would get up and hear his cell phone, where he would pick it up. Call. Hello. Tanjiro, wherever you are, remember you have to go to the dry cleaners for your uniform. Tanjiro. Well, at my house, and if I already have it on my to-do list, there's no need to remind me. Okay, I'll just make sure of that. Also, I'll arrive tonight to give you the details of tomorrow's mission. Tanjiro. I know, you don't need to tell me everything to do. Okay, I'll leave you to have breakfast and pick up your uniform from the dry cleaners. End of call. Tanjiro. It's really annoying. This is the story of Tanjiro Kochou, a 17-year-old boy who currently lives alone because his entire family died in an accident. He lives a double life, as at night he is an illegal arms dealer, delivering weapons to his boss, Muzan Kibutsuji, who is in charge of transporting them to different locations in Japan. Tanjiro. It's time to get up and then go find my uniform. As requested, he left his room and went to the kitchen where he would have breakfast. Elsewhere. A beautiful house adorned with various flowers could be seen, while a girl with black hair tipped with purple, her purple eyes opening as she awoke, changed out of her pajamas and into comfortable clothes, along with a butterfly hair clip. Shinobu, it's time for you to wake up. Shinobu Kochou, a girl who lives with her sisters since their parents had died, but they were still known as being an angel everywhere they went, while her older sister Kani Kochou was a teacher at Kimetsu High School. She was known for being one of the smartest and most beautiful girls in the school. Shinobu. I'm coming. She would say as she went downstairs, meeting her sisters, Kani Kochou and Kanao Sayuri, the latter not being a biological sister, but they still loved her like a sister. Kani. You slept well, didn't you? Shinobu. I'm sorry, I overslept. I had a great time with Mitsuri and Mikomo yesterday, that's why I got home at 1 a.m. She said sheepishly, looking at her sister who was looking at her with a hint of annoyance. Kani, I know it's not bad that you're having fun, but be mindful of what time you get home. Remember that you were supposed to pick up your uniform and Kanao's from the dry cleaners today. Well, you're starting school tomorrow and I need you to be ready. She said with a smile while gently stroking the purple-haired girl's hair. Shinobu. Thank you, sister, and sorry about that. Kani. Okay, now have breakfast and then go with Kanao to get the uniforms. She would say where they were and they would start eating while talking about trivial things. But Tanjiro. Tanjiro, I need to go get that uniform, then head to the cafe. That bastard Dauma probably wants me to work late, but at least I have a mission, so I'll get out of that damn place earlier. His mind was filled with thoughts as he walked down the street. Image of what it looks like. Tanjiro. I don't know why I need to study. If I earn too much money working for Muzan, I should just cancel all this. But at least this way I'll go unnoticed, since these days the police have been searching for arms dealers. At that moment he saw his destination ahead, where he would go to receive his uniform. Hello young man, tell me what you need. An elderly lady would reply while looking at the boy. Tanjiro. I've come for my uniform. I'm Tanjiro Kochou. I'm sure Michikatsu told you I was coming. He would say this as the lady looked in a small notebook where she saw the boy's name. That's right, young Tanjiro, please wait, I'll tell one of my employees to bring you in a second. She said, and Tanjiro sat down in a chair that was in the waiting area, where two girls with butterfly brooches appeared. Shinobu. Good morning Chizei-san, I've come to get my uniform and Kanao's. Chizei. Hi Shinobu, sure, I'll bring it to you right away, just wait a little while. He would say where he was going to get the girls' uniforms, where they would sit and wait. Tanjiro. That girl seems really familiar, but I can't place her. He said while glancing at Shinobu, who was talking to Kanao. It must just be my imagination. They should bring him here now. He said, closing his eyes and waiting. 'Tis a. Young Tanjiro, your uniform is here. He would say where he would get his clothes to leave the store, but he would be called back before leaving. Shinobu. Wait, you, the red-haired boy, you'll also be studying at Kimetsu High School, so you're one of the new students who will be studying chili peppers. I hope to see you soon. She said smiling, but received no response from the boy, who simply left, ignoring the girl who looked somewhat annoyed. Hanao. What a rude boy, don't you think, sister. She said while looking at the girl, who was smiling but had veins popping out on her face. Sister, calm down. Let's just grab our uniforms and leave. She said as she went to get her uniform. Thank you, Chizei-san. See you soon. She said as she left with Shinobu, where they looked at the uniform. Shinobu. Let's go home before it gets too late. She said, walking alongside Kanao, who looked at her somewhat confused. Hanao. Are you alright? You seem a little upset. Shinobu. It's nothing, it's just that boy was too rude. She would say this while Kanao just put her hand on her sister's shoulder. Hanao. Relax, she probably just had a bad day. Let's forget about that and go home. She would say, where are you? And they would go to her house. But Tanjiro. He had arrived at his house where upon entering he would find a man in a black suit with long hair. Tanjiro. You didn't say you'd be here so late, Kakishibo. He said as he put his things on a table and sat down opposite the man. YoriichiTsuyikune, owner of one of Japan's largest companies and Muzan Kibutsuji's right-hand man, as well as the red-haired boy's uncle. Kakishibo. That's right, but I had to give you the details now. He said calmly, taking a piece of paper from his suit. The delivery location will be the northern port, the time will be 10 p.m., and you will work with Akaza, Gyutaro, and Gyu. Muzan-san will be waiting for you. You will deliver the package to him and return here before midnight. He said, handing the sheet of paper to the boy. Tanjiro. I need to work with him, you know I can do it alone. He would say, making a face of disgust. Kakishibo. No way, just do as I told you and that's it. Besides, I suspended the cafeteria work so the four of you can rest. So have a good night and I'll see you tomorrow after school. He said as he left the boy's house, leaving him alone while he went to his room where he left his uniform. Tanjiro. That girl with purple hair, I can't get her out of my head. He thought, remembering the girl's beauty. What am I thinking? I'd better get some rest. Tomorrow will be a very long day. He thought, falling asleep. That was the first chapter of this story. 01. My first day of classes. The boy's alarm would start to ring as he got up, where he would sigh and look at his uniform. Tanjiro, it's time to go before it gets too late. He would say where he would go to bathe and change, where he would go down to eat, and then leave his house towards his school. Shinobu. She narrates, today I woke up with great enthusiasm because today was the day I would start school, so I got up and saw my sister preparing breakfast, where I would go to get ready, as well as Kanao, where we would put on our new uniforms. Shinobu, well, after you finish getting ready, we'll leave now. After all, I'm your biology teacher, and I expect you to obey me if you want my grade. Shinobu, come on, sister, you know I'll always obey you. After all, today I'm going for the highest grade. She would say this, eliciting several smiles from her sisters. Time skip. The sisters would leave their house and head towards the school, where they would quickly arrive, seeing the enormous school building. They would go inside and look for their classroom, while Kani went to the teacher's room. Shinobu, very well Kanao, this is your classroom. See you at dismissal time. Hanao, see you later, sister. Take care. They both separated and Shinobu looked for her classroom. After finding it, she went inside and saw her two friends. Shinobu, Mitsuri, Mikomo. Mitsuri, Shinobu, it's good to see you. Mitsuri Kanroji is known for being one of the most popular students at the high school where she is currently 17 years old and is Shinobu's best friend. Mikomo, hi Shinobu, you seem happier today. Mikomo Urakadaki, adopted daughter of Sakanji Urakadaki, a man who owns the best coffee shop in town. Shinobu, how could I not be? We're finally going back to the studio. She said excitedly, by the way, why does our classroom look like a laboratory? She said, looking around and checking all the seats. Mitsuri, I don't know, but I'm sorry to say that I'll be sharing the seat with Mikomo if you don't mind. She would say this where at first Shinobu would just look at her somewhat angrily. Shinobu, don't worry, I'll sit behind you all, and maybe one of the people sitting next to me will be interesting. She said as she took her seat where they would wait until all the students entered the classroom with the teacher. With Tanjiro. Tanjiro, today's the day. My mind was only focused on studying, not making friends. What a drag. I still can't believe how I got to this point, but oh well, there's nothing I can do now. He said, waiting outside the classroom to be called while listening to all the noise inside. I ask everyone to sit down right now, said a man with hair the same color as fire, as well as his eyes, who clearly identified himself as the class teacher. Hello, for those who don't know me, I'm Kaijiro Ringoku, and I'll be the teacher in charge of this class. But before we begin, I'd like to introduce a new student. You may come in. Tanjiro then entered the classroom, and all the girls' eyes widened in surprise at the sight. The most surprised of all was a certain girl with purple eyes, who stared at the boy in astonishment. Tanjiro, hello, my name is Tanjiro Kochou, and from now on I will be sharing the class with you. Ringoku, very well, you can sit next to Kochou, the girl with purple hair. He would say this, and the boy, upon seeing the girl, would be astonished, as it was the same girl he met at the dry cleaners. Tanjiro, that girl, without saying anything, he walked to his seat where he sat down to wait. Ringoku, very well, now you can take out your books, he said while writing several mathematical equations on the blackboard. Shinobu, hello, I'm Shinobu Kochou, nice to meet you. She would say this while looking at the boy with a smile, who would only look her in the eyes. Tanjiro, it's very rude to talk during class, don't you think? He said seriously while watching Shinobu make an annoyed expression. Shinobu, very well, we'll talk during break, okay? Tanjiro, I'm not interested in talking to anyone, besides, we don't know each other. He would say this, which would make Shinobu even more annoyed. Shinobu, okay, but at least you tell me your name. Tanjiro, I mentioned it when I introduced myself, or didn't you hear? Shinobu, come on, don't be like that. Emergency operator, Listo. Shinobu, thank you for telling me. It's a bit annoying, but I'd like us to be friends. I'm sure he's going through a rough time. She said this as they returned to the classroom, where after several hours it would end, signaling recess. Tanjiro would go up to the roof since he had nothing to do. Tanjiro, looks like someone's here. He said while looking in various directions until he realized who it was, that girl, doesn't she have anything better to do? Shinobu, hello Tanjiro, tell me what you're doing here, don't you want to go out onto the courts? She said, sitting down next to the boy. Tanjiro, I'm not interested in that, besides, what are you doing here? He said without turning his gaze to the girl. Shinobu, well, I was wondering if I could keep you company up here. It must feel awful being up here all alone, don't you think? Tanjiro, it's not a problem for me, besides, I like my privacy. Shinobu, let's change the subject. Tell me, those earrings are very pretty. Where did you get them? Tanjiro, I can't answer that question, I'd better go. Shinobu, where are you going? Tanjiro, that's none of your business. He said, walking away and leaving the girl alone, who just sighed as she left. What's wrong with that girl? Well, I'll stop thinking about it. Class is about to start, so I'm going to the classroom. He said, returning to the classroom and encountering someone he didn't expect. Hello Tanjiro, I thought you said you didn't like this school. Tanjiro, so we're in the same classroom. And to answer your question, it's true I didn't like it, but I needed to study. Tell me, why are you here? We're still on break, Gyu. Gyu Tomioka, Tanjiro's partner in his trafficking work, at 18 years old, proved to be the smartest of all the boys, in addition to having great skill with weapons. Gyu, well, I was waiting for a friend, and what are you doing here? Tanjiro, I have nowhere to go, so I decided to come to the classroom and wait for the end of the hour. He said as he sat down in his seat. Gyu, if you say so. By the way, who did you get as a partner? Tanjiro, a girl with purple hair, I think her name was Kochou. Gyu, you're lucky, she's proven to be one of the smartest in the school for the past 2 years. He'd say this while Tanjiro just stood there thinking. Tanjiro, are you telling me she's very clever? Gyu, that's right, she's praised even by the teachers. He said smiling as he watched a boy approach the door. Sorry for being late Tomioka, I got held up with some friends, said a boy with peach hair and light purple eyes. Gyu, I'll be there in a moment, Sabito. See you later Tanjiro. He said, waving goodbye to the boy who just watched him leave with Sabito. Sabito Urakadaki, Mikomo's older brother and Sakanji Urakadaki's adopted son, is recognized as the best soccer player in his school. At 18, he has proven to be a better player in soccer, tennis, and other sports. Narrator. Recess was over, and all the students returned to the classroom, including a certain girl whom Tanjiro recognized very well. Throughout the class, she tried to talk to him, but he ignored her until the end of the period and the start of dismissal. Before leaving, Tanjiro went to the library, as he had heard that Tomioka was there and wanted to inform him about the mission. Afterward, he headed back toward the exit. Meanwhile, the three friends were eating as they walked toward the exit. Shinobu, girls, you go ahead, I'm going to the bathroom and I have to wait for my sisters. Mitsuri, okay, take care Shinobu, see you tomorrow. She said, hugging the girl. Mikomo, goodbye Shinobu, see you soon. Shinobu, see you girls, she would say as she separated from her friends to head to the bathroom, where she was seen by 4 boys in the distance who would follow her to the bathroom. Hello Kochou, one of them would say with a smile. Shinobu, what do you want? Yorogi, Karaku. You know what it is, she would say mischievously as they came into the light. Shinobu, come on guys, Akito, you too, just like Azetsu, she said somewhat fearfully as she watched the boys just stare at each other before rushing towards the girl. Wait. Help. Sakito, it's useless, no one will come, it's just the 5 of us. Hirogi, and we're going to have a lot of fun, aren't you happy, Kochou? He said playfully while listening to the girl scream for help. But Tanjiro. Tanjiro, what are those screams? Is it like someone's asking for help? Anyway, it's not my problem. He would say he would continue on his way, but then he would hear a voice that would make him change his mind. Nezuko, brother, please protect others, never let them suffer. You are the kindest person in the world, because as dad once said, a greater force carries a weight without reason. Tanjiro, those words, his mind would recall a night he spent crying in the rain while holding his sister's dead body. Nezuko, if you ask me, I'll do it, and so he entered the baths where he saw the same girl who spoke to him, being brutally harassed by 4 boys. Hey, what do you think you're doing? Sakito, that's not your problem, kid. You'd better leave, or you'll get hurt. Tanjiro, incredible, it's amazing how much I'm trembling. He would say, provoking the boy. Sakito, I warned you. He would say, running towards Tanjiro, where he would try to land a blow, but the boy would dodge it without problems, so very good. He would say, as he tried to land a blow on the boy, who would be dodging and waiting for the moment to attack. Tanjiro, you're very slow. At that moment, the boy punched Sakito in the stomach, who fell to the ground in great pain. Karaku, brother, are you alright? I'll take care of this guy. Running alongside Hirogi where they would begin to fight against Tanjiro, who would match the 2 brothers, landing several blows on them. Sakito, you're really annoying. He would say as he took a steel pipe with which he would hit the boy, who would get up and dodge the other blows. Tanjiro, I have to admit that hit hurt, but now you'll be the one to suffer. Then the boy ran and dodged the blow again with the steel pipe, grabbing it to hit Sakito, who fell unconscious on the spot. Hirogi, damn you, you'll die for that. He would say as he attacked Tanjiro again, who would just move to the right and then kick the boy, sending him crashing into a wall. Tanjiro, don't even try it, he would say from behind Karaku, who wouldn't move but would receive a strong blow to the head from Tanjiro. 3 and 1 to go, he would say looking at Azetsu, who was still holding the girl. Azetsu, don't worry, I'm leaving now. He would say, running away in fear, but Tanjiro would throw the steel pipe which would hit the boy on the head, knocking him unconscious. Tanjiro, idiots, they're not even useful for warming up. At that moment he turned his gaze towards Shinobu, who was completely silent, where the boy was about to leave. Shinobu, hey, wait. She would say as she tried to go to the boy, but she would fall to the ground again, because one of her feet was in bad shape. Damn it, at that moment Tanjiro, seeing the girl in that state, would remember his sister, and without hesitation, he would go to help her. Tanjiro, are you alright? Your foot looks bad. He said while examining the girl's leg. I'll take you to the infirmary, so tell me where it is. He said while carrying Shinobu, who then ran off towards the infirmary. Shinobu. Thank you, Tanjiro, you're very kind. Tanjiro, why am I doing this? I've never acted like this before, not since I lost, he said as his mind filled with images of Nezuko, and seeing her made him want to cry, but he decided to be strong. Shinobu, it's here. They both entered the infirmary where they met a girl and one of the students. Shinobu, Yashiro. What are you doing here? Yashiro, I'm helping Tomeo-san with something, so tell me, what are you doing here? And who is he? Is he your boyfriend? Shinobu's face turned bright red, which Tomeo noticed and just laughed. Tanjiro, they'll talk later, I need you to help her, her foot is in bad shape, he would say where he would put her on the bed where Tomeo would see the foot and realize what it was. Tomeo, very well, she only dislocated her ankle. It's a pain that will pass quickly, no more than 8 hours, so she's fine. He would say where he would get a bandage and put it on the girl's leg. However, you won't be able to walk until the 8 hours have passed, but that won't be a problem, since it's 6 p.m. now, and you can sleep peacefully. Shinobu, what a relief, Tanjiro, could you take me home? She would say with an embarrassed face, where the boy would just look away again. Tanjiro, okay, but we're not friends yet. He said, without changing his serious expression, he picked Shinobu up and they left the infirmary. Shinobu, thank you so much, Tomeo-san, take care. She said as she said goodbye to the woman, who smiled, as did Yashiro. Tanjiro, I want to thank you for what you did for me. Tanjiro, anyone would have done it. He would say, causing Shinobu to blush as she remembered what the boy did for her. Shinobu, my heart is beating strongly, could it be that I've fallen in love? I've fallen in love with Tanjiro, I feel so many butterflies in my stomach, she would say where she would get more comfortable in the boy's arms. Tanjiro, what's wrong with her? He said, watching as the girl snuggled closer in his arms. In all this time, I've met many annoying people in my life, so why does N''T this girl make me angry at all? She's like a child who should have been protected from birth. he said, looking at the girl and suddenly realizing his sister's situation made him smile, but unfortunately, Shinobu didn't see it. "Shinobu, we're here, this is my house. I wonder if my sisters are here," she would say as Tanjiro knocked on the door, which would be opened by Kani, who, upon seeing the boy with Shinobu in his arms, would laugh a little. "Tanjiro, you're her sister, right?" he said, and the girl nodded. "Here, she's dislocated her ankle, so she can't walk. Please take her to bed," he said as he handed Shinobu to the girl. "Annie, thank you very much, I hope it wasn't too much trouble." "Tanjiro, it was nothing." He would say this as he turned around to leave the house. "Shinobu, thank you so much, Tanjiro. See you tomorrow at school," she would say, but the boy would just raise his hand and nod, which would surprise the girl, since he had been very rude to her since they met. "Annie, that boy is very kind, isn't he?" she would say to her sister who would just watch him from afar. "Shinobu, for me, it is." Annie, changing the subject. "Now you'll tell me what happened," she would say. "Where are you?" They would enter the house, where Shinobu would explain everything to Kani. End of chapter 102. Getting to know you. Hamato had arrived home, where he quickly took a shower and changed, as he had a job to do and should N''T be late. He put on the suit he always wore on missions. "Tanjiro, it's 9:30 p.m, time for me to go." At that moment he heard his cell phone ring and quickly answered, realizing it was Kakishibo. Call. "Kakishibo, Tanjiro, I'll come by for you in a moment." "Tanjiro, and may I ask why?" "Kakishibo, you'll get there faster this way. Besides, everyone's at the port waiting for Muzan-sama. You should be there, that's why I'm coming by for you." "Tanjiro, okay, but don't take too long." "Kakishibo, okay." End of call. "Tanjiro, I wonder how Shinobu feels." This question left the boy astonished, as he had never worried about anyone before, something new for him. "What nonsense am I talking about? I'd better lock up my house." After 10 minutes, Kakishibo arrived at the Riti's house, where he quickly got into the man's car and they headed towards the port. "Kakishibo, the package is in the back, grab it so when you get off you can run towards the port. Akaza, Gyutaro, and Giyu are there," he said while looking at the boy who didn't respond, "and you'll tell me how school went." "Tanjiro, nothing out of the ordinary." "Kakishibo, did you make any friends?" "Tanjiro, are you really Kakishibo? You know I'm not interested in that stuff." "Kakishibo, you're quite bitter, kid. You should have more of a social life. That way, the suspicions about you will be less," he said, and the boy just looked away. "Well, we're here. After you deliver the package, come here. I'll make sure we get out of here," he said, and Tanjiro got out of the car and took the package to enter the port, where in the distance he saw 3 silhouettes that he recognized. "Hello, Tanjiro, it's good to see you," said a boy with pink hair and yellow eyes, also wearing a mask on his chin. Bikuji, better known as Akaza, is a waiter at a cafe called the Glass Eye, where, like Tanjiro, he works for Muzan. At 20 years old, he is an incredible martial artist capable of teaching the boy everything he knows. "Tanjiro, hello Akaza, where is Gyutaro?" At that moment a voice would be heard in the background where a boy with black hair would appear, but if anything stood out about him, they were black markings on his face. "Gyutaro, hello Tanjiro, tell me, did you bring the package?" Gyutaro, like Akaza, works alongside him at the Glass Eye Cafe. At the age of 19, he excels in melee weapons thanks to his agility and speed. "Tanjiro, of course I'll bring him if that's why I came, besides, where is Giyu?" "Akaza, he's in position, he'll cover us from above, we're in contact, here." Then the pink-haired man would give Tanjiro an earpiece which he put in his ear. "Giyu, Tanjiro, can you hear me?" "Tanjiro, loud and clear, where are you?" "Giyu, I'm on the roof of the building to your left," he said while aiming a sniper rifle while wearing an elegant suit. "Tanjiro, okay, it's 9:59 p.m. In a minute, Muzan-sama will be here. We'll just deliver the package and leave before anything happens." "Akaza, by the way, do you know what's hidden in that box?" Tanjiro, no, but according to Kakishibo it's a rapid-fire weapon. He would say this while Akaza was left thinking until they saw a car stop in front of them. "It's here now, everyone calm down." "Akaza, who is? We've done worse than this." At that moment, 2 guards got out, one of them opening the car door, from which a man in a suit with ruby red eyes emerged. "Tanjiro, hello Muzan Kibutsuji," he would say as he saw the man approaching him. "Muzan, hello Tanjiro, it's time for you to deliver that package. It contains an explosive weapon capable of blowing up a house." He said this, leaving everyone present astonished. "By the way, can you tell your friend that he doesn't need to be pointing a sniper rifle at me?" He said this, leaving Tomioka amazed, who just kept watching. "Tanjiro, Giyu, lower your guard, there's no need to be like this," he said through the earpiece, and the black-haired boy did as requested. "Okay, here you go, Muzan," he said as he handed him the package, but then a gunshot was heard. Tokyo National Police. Lower your weapons, you're surrounded. Inveso Gyu would take out his weapon, where he would fire directly at the officers' cars. Tanjiro. Keep your guard up. He would say to Akaza and Gyutaro, who would all draw weapons to defend themselves. Don't kill anyone, just don't let them get close. Muzan, come out of here now. Muzan, that's what I was planning to do. See you later if you survive. He said as the man's car began to flee the scene. Attention units. Black car in main town. Send reinforcements now. We'll take care of the rest. Said a white-haired man walking alongside several guards. Tanjiro Gyu, there are some crates to your left, shoot the ropes holding them up. The boy would shoot the ropes, causing several crates to fall on the police officers, who would be forced to dodge them, giving the boys the opportunity to escape to Kakishibo's car. Gyu, get out of there, run towards the car. Gyu understood, over and out. He would say where he was, using ropes, and quickly climb down from the building. They're escaping, after them. Tanjiro Kakishibo, let's get out of here. They all got into the car, which quickly accelerated, leaving the officers behind. Akaza mission accomplished, and we won't have any for 2 days, said the pink-haired boy who yawned loudly. Kakishibo, good work, guys. Muzan-sama will be in touch when we deliver another one. He said this when he saw the red-haired boy was somewhat quiet. Are you alright, Tanjiro? Tanjiro, it's strange that the police found us. He would say, where everyone was asking the same question. Kakishibo, ignore that, you'll rest tomorrow night, remember school in the morning and your part-time job at the cafe, he would say. Tanjiro would just look out the window, where a few minutes would pass until Kakishibo would drop Tanjiro off at his house, where he would take off his suit and go to sleep. Time skip. It was morning and we could see Tanjiro walking down the street where he would later get on the subway while taking out his cell phone. Tanjiro, how strange. Why do I feel like I'm forgetting something? He said, then after a moment he remembered, my math homework. I'll do it when I get to school. At that moment he looked away again, where he saw something that left him speechless. It's Kochou, and it seems she's with her 2 sisters. He said while looking at the girl, who seemed to be doing better. Annie Shinobu, look behind you. She whispered in her ear, and when she looked, she realized it was Tanjiro, and a smile appeared on her face. What's with that smile? Shinobu, is it bad that I smile? Annie, it's not just that I find it strange that you smile just by seeing that boy. Tell me, do you like him? This question would leave Shinobu thinking, her cheeks turning red, while she heard laughter from her older sister. And now wait, Shinobu, you like that boy? She would say, and the girl would put both hands on her face to hide her blush. Annie, it seems so. Shinobu, well, that's fine. I think he's very nice and friendly, even though he doesn't talk to me. Annie, what are you talking about? Shinobu, well, he's kind of cold to others. I've never seen him smile, and when I first met him, he was rather rude to me. Annie, he's probably going through a rough time. You should try talking to him. Why don't you invite him to the party tomorrow? Shinobu, I don't know, I don't think it's going to happen. At that moment she lowered her head in a sad expression. Annie, come on, I saw him talking to Tomioka in the library, they're probably friends, remember he's invited too. At that moment, the girl's expression changed from sad to disgusted. Shinobu, seriously, that guy's going to the dinner? Annie, of course, remember you liked it last year. Shinobu, yes, until I realized he was an annoying and very stupid guy who ignores me and doesn't appreciate what I do, she would say while remembering the conversation she had with the black-haired boy. Annie, come on, I think he's very cute. At that moment, the girl's cheeks changed to a red tone, which the sisters noticed. Hana, sister? Do you like Tomioka? At that moment, Kanni's expression changed. Shinobu, so it's true. Annie, well look, we're here. She said as everyone got off the subway, including Tanjiro, who walked away from the girls. Go, sister, go to him. She said, and at first Shinobu was nervous, but then she gathered her courage and went to talk to the boy. Shinobu, hello Tanjiro, good morning. Tanjiro Kochou. Shinobu, tell me, how are you feeling today? She said smiling, and Tanjiro stared for a moment, making Shinobu somewhat uncomfortable. Is something wrong? Is there something on my face? Tanjiro, no, nothing. He would say as he continued walking while being followed by the girl. Shinobu, tell me something, are you and Tomioka friends? Tanjiro, no, I only know him through a few people, but he's not my friend. Shinobu, come on, Shinobu, you can do it. She said to herself while breathing rapidly. Tanjiro, I was wondering if you would like to go to a party at my house tomorrow, she said, and the boy stopped, looking at the girl, thinking for a long time. Tanjiro, no. Shinobu, but why? Tanjiro, I'll be busy with some things so I won't be able to. Shinobu, come on, Tanjiro, I promise you'll have fun. Besides, Tomioka will be there, and since you two know each other, I was wondering if you wanted to come. she said, but the boy stopped, many thoughts running through his mind as he looked at the girl, who had sad eyes, which Tanjiro looked at with some frustration. "Tanjiro, what time is it?" he would say, and the girl would smile happily. "Shinobu, at 8 p.m. "Tanjiro, I'm not sure if I'll go, but I'll try." He said this while remembering Kakishibo's words about making friends to hide his identity. "Shinobu, I'll take that as a yes." The girl then leaned in and gave the boy a small kiss on the cheek, which left Tanjiro confused. "See you in the classroom, remember we're in the same seat," she said as she left, very embarrassed and nervous. "Tanjiro, that girl, she's very interesting," he said as he left the place. Time skip. Classes would pass normally, with Tanjiro somewhat distracted, still thinking about Shinobu's kiss, something he denied. He felt something in his chest, something he hadn't felt in a long time, but he simply ignored it. "Tanjiro, it's lunchtime, I'll go to the cafeteria to see what I can eat." He would say where he was going, where after grabbing his food, he would sit at a table, until he managed to see a certain girl with purple hair approaching him. "No way, she's really annoying." "Shinobu, hello Tanjiro, can I sit with you?" She said this where she wouldn't expect a response from the boy, sitting at the same table. "Tanjiro, I have a question for you, do the earrings you wear have a meaning?" "Tanjiro, something like that." "Shinobu, and could you tell me why?" "Tanjiro, it's personal." "Shinobu, did she belong to any relative?" "Tanjiro, I already told you it's personal." He would say, well the girl just stared at the boy who was looking down. "Shinobu, what are you hiding, Tanjiro Kamado?" She would say where she was, going back to eat. After about 10 somewhat awkward minutes, since neither of them said anything, Tanjiro would get up and leave. "I'll find a way to hear your story." An idea would come to her and she would quickly go to Tomioka. "Kochou? Do you need something from me?" "Shinobu, tell me something, do you know anything about Tanjiro?" "Tanjiro? Why do you want to know something about Tanjiro?" "Shinobu, well I'm just interested in knowing about him." Tomioka looked at Shinobu with some doubt but in the end agreed. Well, I don't know much about him, but I know he lost his entire family at a young age and now he lives alone at home. This would shock Shinobu, who would understand Tanjiro's attitude. "And I also know that he works at the Glass Eye Cafe." "Shinobu, and where is that?" Well, Sabito and I were planning to go there. If you want, you can come with us after school." "Shinobu, okay, I'll wait for you at the exit." She would say where she left, leaving the black-haired man alone. "Shinobu, Tanjiro, I didn't know you lost your whole family, it's so sad." She'd say, "Where are you?" She'd hear the bell and return to her classroom, finding Tanjiro. "Hello Tanjiro." "Tanjiro, hello Kochou." Without saying anything else, the girl sat down, where Ringoku would later enter. "Hi Jiro, alright students, I'm here to check the math homework I assigned yesterday, but before that, I want you to write down the problems I'll put on the board." He would say this and start writing, while Tanjiro was just thinking about what to do and how he had completely forgotten. "Shinobu, did you do the homework, Tanjiro?" The girl said, looking at the redeed somewhat nervously. "Here, you can copy it, I don't mind." She said, Tanjiro looking back at her as Shinobu smiled. "Tanjiro, thank you Kochou." "Shinobu, is it just me, or did you just say thank you?" That would snap Tanjiro out of his thoughts, who would be amazed since it was the first time he had said something like that. "Tanjiro, can't I say it or what?" "Shinobu, it's not that, it's about the fact that this is the first time you've said something like this to me." She would say this while Tanjiro completely ignored the topic and copied the girl's homework. Tanjiro here, giving back his notebook. "Shinobu, I'm glad to help." Those words would bring back a memory in Tanjiro of his sister, helping him tidy up some things, and after finishing she would say the same words. "Tanjiro, my heart is beating rather strongly." He would say this while ignoring it and writing the problems on the blackboard. Time skip. After class, our Redeed would walk home, where he would then go to the cafeteria where he would meet Gyutaro and Akaza who would be serving some customers. "Akaza, Tanjiro, you've arrived just in time. Kakishibo Dono wants to speak with you. He's at the table in the back." He would say where Tanjiro would walk to where the man was sitting across from him. "Kakishibo Tanjiro, I'm sorry to tell you this, but tomorrow at 6 p.m., you're coming with me to a factory on the north side of town. Some employees say they have parts for an Eagle Vision sniper rifle, and we need it," he said, handing the boy a piece of paper with the factory's address on it. "Tanjiro, why me? Why don't you take Iu? He's very good with weapons like that, you should take him," he said while receiving a no from the man. "Kakishibo, you're the one, and you also know about long-range weapons." "Tanjiro, okay, I'll accept, but I have to be back by 8 p.m. I have somewhere to go." While they were talking, Shinobu arrived along with Tomioka and Sabito. Upon seeing the boy, she quickly tried to go to him. "Kochou, don't go right now, he's busy." "Shinobu, really? Well, I don't care, I'll go anyway." Despite Tomioka trying to stop her, the girl would go wherever she ended up with the boy. Hello Tanjiro, it's good to see you here. Tanjiro hello Kochou, what are you doing here? Shinobu well, I came to get something to drink, but when I saw you, I decided to come and talk to you. By the way, who is he? She said, looking at the man in a suit drinking coffee. Tanjiro it's nobody, don't worry. He would say this before being interrupted by Kakishibo. Kakishibo don't be rude, Tanjiro. Hello, miss, my name is YoriichiTsuyikune, and I'm Tanjiro's uncle. This shocked the girl, who stared at the man in astonishment. Come, sit down. Tanjiro, make some space so your friend can sit down. He said as the boy moved to the other side of the seat where the girl would sit. Well, tell me, what's your name? Shinobu I'm Shinobu Kochou, and I'm Tanjiro's friend. Tanjiro since when? Kakishibo Kochou. Your name sounds familiar, he would say, thinking until he remembered a man with black hair and a doctor's coat. I remember now, by chance your father's name was Lords Kochou. Shinobu did you know my father? Kakishibo that's right, he was a very talented man. He even managed to save my life because I was sick and, being a great doctor, I decided to go to him and thanks to him, I found myself in this place. But when I learned of his death, sadness came over me. She would say this as Shinobu lowered her head and Tanjiro listened in amazement while thinking about the girl's pain since he had suffered a similar loss from his parents. Shinobu he died alongside my mother in an accident. The car they were traveling in was brutally run over by a truck and neither of them survived. I would say this where I would try to cry, but I would be strong enough not to let the tears out. Kakishibo I'm sorry about that, I would have liked to be at his funeral, it's a shame. He would say this while taking a sip of coffee from his cup. Shinobu don't worry, I'm sure he couldn't for some reason, she said, smiling at the man who did the same, besides, I'm not doing too badly, I still have my sister and I live happily with her. Kakishibo it's good to know that you still smile even though you lost the people you loved most. It's very admirable. Shinobu thank you sir. Kakishibo well, it's time for me to leave. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, but I have to go. I have some things to do. And you, Tanjiro, remember that. He said as he left the cafe. Shinobu Tanjiro. Tanjiro I'm sorry, Kochou, but I have to work. Shinobu don't worry, I was just planning to come here for a drink, so don't worry about it. Tanjiro if you want, I can bring you a coffee and don't worry about paying for it, I'll pay for it. He would say this, surprising the girl. Shinobu you do that for me. Tanjiro just ask and I'll bring it to you. Shinobu okay, I'd like a latte please. Tanjiro right away, he would say where he was going to the kitchen, where he would give the order to Akaza who would deliver it. End of chapter 02. 03. New feelings. The sun would illuminate the city of Tokyo, where all the students would rise. Among them were two boys. One was the cold and serious danger, while the other was the sweet and friendly purple-haired girl, two opposite poles, but that wouldn't stop them from loving each other. Tanjiro today I have a mission with Kakishibo, but I also have to go to the party Kochou invited me to. He said this, then stopped abruptly, his mind racing as he thought about the girl, which made his heart beat faster. I feel strange my heart is pounding too hard, but it's nothing. He continued on his way, but his mind kept returning to the girl until he arrived at school. Upon entering his classroom, he realized that no one had arrived. How strange. There's no one here. Shinobu hello Tanjiro, she would say, appearing behind the boy, whose heart would race even faster upon seeing her. Tanjiro hello Kochou, what do you need? He said in his typical serious tone, but inside he was very nervous. Shinobu I just came to remind you that the party is at 8 p.m. and don't be late, okay? Tanjiro yes, I understand. Shinobu okay, it's time for us to sit down. Everyone's coming this way. She said this as she sat down in her seat while being watched by Tanjiro, who didn't look away, which made the girl blush slightly. Is everything okay? Tanjiro if it's nothing, he would say as he sat next to the girl, since they shared seats, but both were somewhat quiet, which was very awkward, until the arrival of all the other students, along with the physical education teacher, Yuzui Tenjin. Yuzui hello students, today we're going to the court. I need to get you in shape, so let's go. He said as he was followed by all the students until they arrived at the court, where Tanjiro reluctantly didn't go, but was convinced by Shinobu, and in the end he agreed, okay, the men do 200 sit-ups, 150 push-ups and run 30 laps around the entire court, come on, come on. He said where everyone looked at him with hatred, except for Tanjiro and Tomioka who had been trained for something like this. Shinobu and what will we do, Yuzui-san? Yuzui the girls will just wait, when everyone is finished we'll play some dodgeball. He said this as the girl sat down while watching the boys suffer, but if anyone was anyone's focus, it was our protagonist, where all the women blushed at the sight of him. But Suri he's very cute, don't you think, Shinobu? she said while looking at the girl who didn't take her eyes off the boy, blushing. After all the boys finished their exercises, they were sent to play soccer. Tanjiro, knowing almost nothing about the game, was assigned to be the goalkeeper, with Tomioka being the only one on his team who knew anything about it. Uzui now. He would blow his whistle, and Tomioka would take the ball and run towards the field. Tanjiro, this game is kind of strange, he would say, watching as Sabito took the ball from Tomioka and ran towards Tanjiro, who was getting ready, when he heard a voice. Shinobu vamos Tanjiro. Tanjiro, why is he shouting? He had been lost in his thoughts until he heard Tomioka's voice in the background. You Tanjiro, don't let him score. He would say as Sabito threw the ball a little way out of the boy's reach, but he would be amazed to see Tanjiro manage to make a great jump and catch it. Sabito, but how? Everyone there was surprised because it was strange how the boy moved so fast. Tanjiro, now that I have the ball, what should I do? Uzui, pass it to one of your teammates who are free. He would say that the boy, having only met Tomioka, would throw it to him, and the black-haired boy, seeing this, would manage to catch it and then throw it, scoring a goal. Very well, Tomioka's team is the winner. After that class, everyone would return to their classroom where classes would proceed normally until break time arrived, while Tanjiro would go up to the roof, where he could only look at the sky with such tranquility. Tanjiro, it can't be, she's here. At that moment, the boy's eyes were covered by the girl who spoke amid laughter. Shinobu, who am I? Tanjiro, a pesky, nosy, and depressing little brat. That would anger Shinobu, who would quickly hit Tanjiro on the head. Hey, that hurt. Shinobu, that's for telling me all that. She said, sitting next to the boy. Tanjiro, the man who was with you the other day is actually your uncle. Tanjiro, why the question? Shinobu, well, his last name was very different, Yoriichi, and he was Tsuyikune, wasn't he? The question made Tanjiro think, since he knew that his father had changed his family's last name to keep them away from the violence of the Tsuyikunes. Tanjiro, I can only tell you that he's not really my uncle, he's just a friend of my father's. He said, looking up at Shinobu, who was just staring at him in amazement. Is something wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? Shinobu, finally, you've told me something about yourself. Tanjiro opened his eyes, thinking about various things, but his heart kept beating. Tanjiro, well, maybe you're a friend, he was nervous, looking away to hide his embarrassment, while Shinobu, upon hearing those words, became overjoyed and hugged the boy. Shinobu, I'm glad to know I'm one of your friends. She said, still hugging the boy, who could only look on, somewhat puzzled. I'm sorry, it wasn't my intention, it's just I got excited, she said nervously, as she moved away from the boy. Tanjiro, it's nothing, it's time to go back, he said as he stood up, returning to his classroom. Nara, Tanjiro. The time to leave had arrived, and I would walk straight home, as I had a mission with Kakishibo today, and could N''T be late. Besides, I had to go to Kochou's party at 8 p.m, so I took a bath and waited for Kakishibo. Tanjiro, you finally arrived. He would say as he got into the man's car. Kakishibo, I'm sorry, I had some things to do. Tanjiro, well, I have things to do too. He said, looking at his watch and seeing it was 6:30 p.m, we have an hour and a half to complete this mission, so let's hurry. Kakishibo, okay, besides, where are you going? Tanjiro, to a party. Kakishibo, yeah, right, and I'm going to Vegas, he would say sarcastically, while Tanjiro would only look to his left, you're going to a party, that's strange. Tanjiro, I've been told worse things. Kakishibo, if you say so, it's fine. After a while they arrived at the factory, where they went upstairs seeing many boxes. You see, that's it, he said, pointing to a sniper rifle in a secluded spot. Tanjiro, I'm still wondering, why did we come here for something so useless? Kakishibo, that's not important to you, we just have to take it and leave. He would say, holding a pair of ropes for Tanjiro, which he would use to get down. Upon entering, he would calmly and carefully walk to the weapon and take it. Tanjiro, alright, lift me up now. He said as Kakishibo began to lift the boy up, but the rope began to break, and both looked on with some fear. Kakishibo, come on, come on. At that moment the rope broke, but Tanjiro had already arrived, grabbing onto the ceiling, and with Kakishibo's help, he managed to get out. Okay, let's go. They both ran towards the car, but then they saw several men in the place. So you're the ones who want to steal the weapon? Well, you won't be able to. He would say, where they would take pieces of wood, pipes, or anything else they found on the ground. Kakishibo, we can't use weapons or we'll alert the police, we must fight ourselves. He said, and Tanjiro and he took off their jackets as they prepared. So, manly or not, well, let's see. That's how it is. He would say, where everyone would start attacking Tanjiro and Kakishibo, who would put up a good fight against all the men, but the clock would strike 7:45 p.m, where Tanjiro would realize that he had 1 hour left to finish the mission. Tanjiro, I have to hurry. Nerves and desperation would reach his mind, causing him to lose control of his movements, receiving several blows to his face and body. Akishibo Tanjiro, concentrate. Here. He would say, handing him a steel pipe with which he would strike several of the men attacking them. Tanjiro Kakishibo is right. That thing should end ''T worry me. After all, it's nothing important to me. Even though he tried to deny its importance in arriving at the place, his mind kept dwelling on it, something the boy felt. Shinobu. She was outside her house, sitting on the steps, staring at the entrance with enormous despair and frustration, but then her sister arrived and touched her back. Annie, what's wrong, Shino? Shinobu, it's nothing, I'm just waiting for Tanjiro, I hope he comes. Annie, relax, he's probably on his way after all, you told him 8 p.m. and there are still 12 minutes left, be calm, you'll see he'll come. Her smile would make the girl feel better, while she was in a somewhat sad state because her feelings for the boy were too strong. Knowing his true thoughts and considering her as a friend had made her feel loved by someone other than her sisters and friends. Hello, good evening. The black boy would enter, accompanied by Sabito and Mikomo. Annie, hello everyone, welcome, you can come in. She would say as the three boys entered inside, where Tomioka would be stopped by Shinobu before entering. Shinobu, Tomioka, by any chance did you see Tanjiro? Tanjiro? Well, no, he said he'd be busy today. According to Akaza, Tanjiro is on a mission with Kakishibo Dono, but I didn't know he'd been invited to this party, but knowing him, I'd say he won't come, since I've never seen him interested in things like this. I remember he always turned down the outings we went on with Gyutaro and Akaza, so I doubt he'd come to a place like this. His thoughts raced through his mind as he looked at the girl, who lowered her head sadly. Annie, Tomioka, why don't you come in? There's lots of food inside, I'm sure you like it. Understood, thank you very much Kani-san, he said as he went inside. Annie, calm down, Shinobu, just have faith, maybe he'll come, just relax, and why don't you come celebrate with us? She would say, trying to cheer the girl up, who would accept without enthusiasm. Shinobu, okay, let's go. She smiled as she went inside the house and sat down on a sofa, but her mind was restless because she felt a strange sensation with the boy. It seemed as if she saw something in him that gave her an enormous desire to have him by her side. With Tanjiro. The fight had ended, with Tanjiro having received several blows and a cut on his forehead, but the boy, along with his uncle, would escape in his car. Well, he looked at his watch and saw that it was 8 p.m., where his hopes would be low, something that Kakishibo would quickly notice. Kakishibo, are you alright, kid? Tanjiro, it's nothing. Kakishibo, you think you won't make it? Well, that's not true, he would say, and the boy would look at him somewhat confused. Tanjiro, what are you talking about? It's getting late. Akishibo, maybe so, but if you come by car, it'll only take you 5 minutes to get there. Tanjiro's eyes widened as the man looked at him with a somewhat sincere smile. You can take my car after you drop me off at my house, okay? Tanjiro, are you sure? Akishibo, sure, no problem, as long as you don't scratch it, understood? He said, changing his tone of voice to a threatening one. Tanjiro, of course, I won't do anything to him at all. He said calmly to the man who placed his hand on his shoulder. Akishibo, very well, hold on tight so you can go to your girlfriend. He would say mockingly. Tanjiro, very funny, he would say something annoyed, which would provoke laughter in Kakishibo, where after a few minutes they both would arrive at the man's house, leaving him there while Tanjiro headed to the party. Shinobu. She would be sitting in an armchair, staring at the floor in disappointment, while her older sister tried to cheer her up. Annie, calm down, Shino, he probably had some trouble getting here. She would say, trying to cheer up the girl, who was only thinking about how the boy didn't show up. Shinobu, that's not true, he didn't come because he didn't care, he's someone who has no feelings. She said while clenching her fist somewhat angrily. Annie, don't say that, remember Tomioka said he'd be busy, he probably didn't have time to come. She said, comforting her sister, but then there was a knock at the door and the girl thought it was the pizza delivery guy. I'll go open it. She said as she approached the door, where upon opening it, she saw the boy breathing heavily while blood trickled from his forehead. Tanjiro, sorry for the delay, Kani-san. Annie, no problem, Tanjiro, but what happened to you? Tanjiro, it's nothing, I just had a little mishap. He said as the girl led him in while everyone watched and the boy quickly went to her upon seeing her. What's wrong, Kochou? The girl, upon hearing that, raised her head, looking at the boy. Shinobu, Tanjiro. Tanjiro, what's wrong? If I wanted to see you like this, I wouldn't have. At that moment the girl hugged the boy tightly, leaving everyone surprised, especially Tomioka. Why are you doing that? Shinobu, you idiot, I thought you weren't coming. And why do you have blood on your forehead? Tanjiro, I had a minor accident on the way here. Shinobu, but are you alright? Tanjiro, can't you see I'm bleeding? At that moment Shinobu took out a handkerchief and cleaned the boy's wound. Shinobu okay, come with me, let's bandage that wound. She said while taking the boy by the arm, something that would be seen by everyone. Annie, those two seem to get along so well, I'm sure they'll end up together, she said while laughing happily. End of chapter 03. 04. Your beautiful smile. Morning arrived in Tokyo, as it was Saturday, a day when students didn't go to school and had the day off. However, unlike the others, our protagonist would be working at the Glass Eye Cafe today. Tanjiro, I have to get up early today, because that jerk Dama probably wants me to work the overtime I had off. What a drag. He said as he stood up and went to the bathroom to take a shower. That's strange. Why does my head hurt so much? He just ignored the pain as he went down to the kitchen to have breakfast, while his cell phone started vibrating because of many messages from Akaza. Messages? Akaza, Tanjiro, Dama says to hurry. Akaza, don't be long, I'm alone. Gyutaro was sick, so he won't be coming. Akaza, please hurry. Tanjiro, yes, Akaza, I'll be right there, but please calm down, let me eat. Akaza, okay, I'll wait for you here. End of messages. Tanjiro, I wonder what happened to Gyutaro. I should go and see how he's feeling. He would realize what he had thought, which would leave him puzzled and very confused. What am I thinking? Since when am I so kind? He would say as he left his house in the direction of the cafe, where upon arriving he would find the person he detests most in the world. Dama, hello Tanjiro, so I'm late. Tanjiro, just for 5 minutes, besides I have nothing to explain, so let me pass. He said while avoiding the man who just watched a boy walk towards the kitchen. Dama, where do you think you're going? Tanjiro, well, to the kitchen then. Dama, no, today you'll be a waiter, since Gyutaro couldn't come because he's feeling unwell, so you replace him. He would say this where the boy would just look at him with some hatred, since he wasn't very good at dealing with customers, but he had to do it, since it was an order. Tanjiro, okay, but only this once. Dama, well, there's your uniform, go see there are many customers who need to be served, he said as he left the place. Tanjiro, alright, I just have to take your order and bring it, easy. He said as he walked to a table, hello, what would you like to order? Doughnuts please. Tanjiro understood. He would say, walking towards the kitchen, where he would later take the order to the table. Here you go. Thanks, kid. Tanjiro, you're welcome. He would say this as he went to another table where, upon seeing who it was, he would be astonished. Kochou. Shinobu, hello Tanjiro, I see you're working. Said the girl who was accompanied by her two friends. Tanjiro, that's right, tell me, are you going to order something? Shinobu, I want a coffee with 4 sugars. Tanjiro, you really like sweets a lot. Shinobu, maybe a little. Tanjiro, okay, anything else? Shinobu, Mitsuri wants a coffee with milk and a pastry, and Mikomo wants some milk candies. She would say smiling, while Tanjiro just wrote it in his notebook. Tanjiro, okay, and don't worry about the wait, they'll be ready in a moment. He said, walking to the kitchen, hey, I need this order, and fast. He said, leaving the piece of paper. Okay, Tanjiro. Mitsuri, hey Shinobu, she would whisper softly. Shinobu, tell me, what's wrong, Mitsuri? Mitsuri, you seem to get along really well with that boy, are you two a couple? She said as the girl blushed and shook her head. Shinobu, don't say that, Mitsuri, he and I are just friends. She said while looking at him, attending to the other people. Mikomo, then tell us why you haven't stopped watching him, she would say where the purple-haired girl would say more nervously, while her face was like a tomato. Shinobu, no that's not true, at that moment Akaza appeared with the girl's request. Akaza, here are the girls, and you're Shinobu, right? Shinobu, that's right. Akaza, Tanjiro said not to worry about paying for your order, he'll pay for it for you. She said, leaving the place while the girls looked at Shinobu who didn't know what to do as her face was too red while her nerves became stronger. Mitsuri, so, just friends, huh? She would say mockingly. Shinobu, say what you want. Ignoring the girls who kept laughing while Tanjiro sat next to Akaza as they had finished serving the customers. Akaza, is that girl your girlfriend? Tanjiro, what nonsense are you talking about? Of course not. Akaza, well, you act differently with her. Tanjiro, what do you mean? Akaza, well, you talk to her a lot, you invite her out for lunch or drinks, and you never ignore her like the rest of us. He said laughing while Tanjiro just thought for a moment. Tanjiro, it's just that she reminded me of my sister, he said, lowering his head. Akaza, you don't have to think about that. We've all lost something, but life goes on. You should enjoy it. Having a partner to spend time with, loving her, and giving her everything she wants, he said while Tanjiro watched a girl from afar. I used to be like that too, remember? But I met Koyuki, and I'm not the same anymore, he said proudly. Tanjiro, aha, whatever you say. He said, standing up. Akaza, where are you going? Tanjiro, see for yourself. He would say as they both saw Kakishibo enter and sit at the back table. Isle, it seems we'll be on a mission. He would say as he walked towards the man, being seen by the girls. But Surya, who is he? She said while looking at Tanjiro sitting next to the long-haired man. Shinobu, he's her uncle. The girls would be surprised at that. I should go and say hello. But Shinobu, it's best if you don't go, it must be something personal. Lukomo Mitsuri is right, you shouldn't interfere. Shinobu, don't worry, I'm just going to say hello. Besides, he's one of the men who knew my father, and that's something I'd like to see. She said as she headed towards the table where Tanjiro and Kakishiba were. Tanjiro, do you need something, Kochou? He said, looking at the girl. Shinobu, no, I just came to say hello. She would say smiling. Kakishiba, hello miss, I see you come here often. Shinobu, hello Mr. Michikatsu, and not much, she would say, sitting next to Tanjiro who would just look at her. Kakishiba, tell me something, what kind of relationship do you and Tanjiro have? Shinobu, relationship? Well, we're just friends. Kakishiba, that's fine, but seeing how close you two were, I thought it was cute. Tanjiro isn't used to having friends, he doesn't have any, he's rather cold towards others. She said smiling while Tanjiro looked away. Shinobu, well, since I've known Tanjiro he's been a bit serious, but I think he's a great person and he's been very kind to me. She said while the girl looked at her in amazement because as far as he remembered, he used to ignore her. Kakishiba, I didn't expect that, and when were you thinking of saying that, Tanjiro? He said while they both stared at each other. Tanjiro, I have nothing to explain, that's none of your business. He would say seriously. Shinobu, Tanjiro, don't be like that with him. Kakishiba, don't worry about it, he's a man of few words, but he's really kind. She said while not taking her eyes off the boy, who did the same. Well, it's time for me to go, Tanjiro, you know that. She said, leaving the place. Tanjiro, Kochou, can I ask you a favor? He said, looking at the girl. Shinobu, tell me what's wrong, Tanjiro. Tanjiro, I don't want you to go near him. He's someone you can't trust. Please, that's all I ask. He said, going to where he was, he hugged the girl who was confused, but she returned the hug. I have to get back to work, but I hope you heard what I said. Shinobu, okay, I'm sorry if I did something I shouldn't have. She said, lowering her head. Tanjiro, that's not true, you were just trying to be kind, and that's something I like about you. That's what makes you so special. He said, lifting his face, causing both him and the girl to blush. I have to go. Shinobu, yes, see you later. She would say as the boy left the store. Tanjiro Akaza's words, he entered an alley where he encountered Kakishiba, who grabbed him by his suit. I know what you're trying to do, and I won't allow it. He said angrily. Kakishiba, relax, kid, I was just trying to get along with your girlfriend. Tanjiro, very funny, Kakishiba. Really? Do you seriously think that? Kakishiba, just a little, but let's leave that for another time. Now let me tell you about the new mission. He said, where Tanjiro was paying close attention. There's a weapons establishment on the east side of the oyster factory in Tokyo, so Tomioka, Akaza, and you will steal a parts list for an assault rifle. You'll take my vehicle so you can escape. He said, handing the keys to the boy. It will be tomorrow at 8 p.m. and I need you here at 12 p.m. Tanjiro, where will you be? Kakishiba, I'll meet with Muzan-sama in the office. We'll discuss a few things. Well, you steal the items, you'll keep them at your house until tomorrow. He said as he left. See you later. Tanjiro, ugh, it's really annoying. He noticed someone else nearby. Who's there? He watched the person run away. Wait. Running after her, did she hear everything? If so, I have to catch her. He ran after the person, who disappeared. Where did she go? Searching everywhere, but not finding her. Leaving the area. Tanjiro Kamado, I finally see you again. Said a person on a rooftop, watching the boy leave. This will be so much fun. Said. As they left. End of chapter 4:05. Origins. Night would fall on the city of Tokyo, while in Berlin a car with 3 boys inside could be seen. It was Tanjiro, Akaza and Tomioka who would be on the Kakishiba mission, where the 3 dressed in their suits as they were heading to the factory. Akaza, Tanjiro, you're very quiet. Is everything alright? He said while looking at the boy who was in charge of driving the car. Tanjiro, I'm just thinking about the mission, it's nothing to worry about. He would say, lying, as his thoughts were on who the person he was following the other day was. It seemed very strange to him that they disappeared from the place without leaving a trace. Akaza, don't worry, everything will be fine. When we're done, we can rest and you can go back to your girlfriend. He said, smiling mockingly. You a girlfriend? Tanjiro has a girlfriend. Akaza, that's right, you remember the girl with purple hair, well it's been noticed that Tanjiro is in love with her. Who are you talking about, Shinobu? Akaza, that's the one, he would say laughing, as would Tomioka. Tanjiro very funny, Akaza. If life were like that, I wouldn't be in this place. He said while looking at the factory in the distance. Alright, Gyu, I need you to head to that tower. When we get what we need, you start the car so we can escape immediately. He said while putting an earpiece in his ear, as did Tomioka. Gyu okay, he would say as he climbed the tower, where he would assemble his sniper rifle, while taking charge of covering the entire area. Tanjiro alright, Akaza and I will go in, grab everything we need, and leave. He said as he walked alongside Akaza. Akaza, is it just me, or do you seem more focused on this mission? Tanjiro, maybe just because I have a feeling something's going to go wrong. He said as they both climbed onto the roof. Gyu, tell me if everything's clear. Gyu confirmed no one is here, it's safe. Tanjiro okay, let's go, Akaza. Meanwhile, in another building, they could be seen being watched by someone else. Sir, I've located them, they're entering the place, a female voice said while speaking on the radio. Excellent, it's time for the plan, we'll see how it goes. Understood, sir. Over and out. He said, turning off the radio. The woman, who had been covering her face, looked at the two boys trying to enter the place. I'll catch you soon, Tanjiro Kamado, she said, leaving the place. Elsewhere. A group of men could be seen there. One was Muzan Kibutsuji himself, another was Kakishibo, and finally, Dauma could be seen. Muzan Kakishibo, do you know why I summoned you here now? Kakishibo, is this about my team? Muzan, that's right, but I'm especially talking about Tanjiro Kamado. Kakishibo, I'm. Muzan, something tells me he knows about the item we're looking for. Kakishibo, you speak of the dragon ruby, how can you be sure? Muzan, let's just say one of my subordinates has been investigating the boy, and if you remember correctly, Tanjiro was one of the investigators searching for that jewel. He said seriously while looking at Kakishibo, who just stood there thinking. Kakishibo, Tanjiro never managed to find him, not even a single thing that showed his existence, and that's what caused his death. Muzan. That's right, Tanjiro was someone willing to find that beautiful relic, but he chose not to work with me, and that's what led to his death, but of one thing I'm certain, and that is that Tanjiro managed to discover something about the location of that jewel, and Tanjiro is one of those who must know it. Kakishibo, I'm not entirely sure Tanjiro knows anything about the ruby, but I'll try to investigate. Muzan, don't rush things, I have someone else in charge of that, and believe me, he'll be keeping a close eye on you and your team, because I don't trust you guys very much. He said, looking at the man with utmost seriousness. Kakishibo, I thought we trusted each other, or didn't we? Muzan, perhaps, but even so, I can't be fooled so easily, he said as he stood up. You can leave now, he said as Kakishibo said goodbye and left. Aoma, Muzan-sama, the girl is on the phone. He said while handing the cell phone to the man. Call. I've finally located them. Muzan, very well, and what about the girl? It's located a few meters from the place, it will be here shortly. Muzan. Excellent, let's see what Tanjiro would do for that girl. I will continue to watch, and I will make sure to announce what happens. Muzan, okay, I'll wait for your call. End of call. Dauma, I hope everything turns out alright. Muzan and Dauma will do it, you'll see, tell the others to prepare. Dauma, as you command, Muzan-sama. He said, leaving the room. But Tanjiro. Tanjiro, alright, we made it inside, it's time to grab everything we need. He would say this as he started to grab large pieces of weapons along with Akaza. Akaza, alright, let's get out of here. Tanjiro, you're right, we got what we wanted, let's get out of here. He said as they both left the place with everything they had stolen. Gyu, Tanjiro. Can you hear me? Tanjiro, what's wrong, Gyu? Gyu, we'd better leave. There are 2 cars 150 meters away. We'd better get out of here. Tanjiro, okay, go and take the car, we'll be with you in a moment. He said, and the black-haired boy obeyed and left where he was. Akaza, it's time to go. He said, and they both started running, but then Tanjiro ran into someone unexpected, which left him in shock. Shinobu, Tanjiro. Tanjiro Kochou. Shinobu, what are you doing here? And what is all this? Tanjiro, it's nothing, just a few things. At that moment, several gunshots would be heard, and the boy would hide along with Shinobu and Akaza. Shinobu, what's happening? She would say, somewhat frightened, but she would see Tanjiro holding her hand while putting a finger to her mouth. Come out of there and hand over everything you have. Akaza, Tanjiro, look, those must be the people Tomioka mentioned. Tanjiro, we have to go. At that moment he would take out his weapon and shoot at the subjects who took cover while they were firing. Shinobu, Tanjiro, you have a weapon. What is this? I need you to explain. She said alarmedly, while Tanjiro just looked at her for a second. Tanjiro, I'll explain, but first we need to get out of here. He stood up and fired several shots, emptying his weapon. It's time to run. He took the girl's hand and ran alongside Akaza, while several gunshots could be heard behind them. Akaza, there's the car, run. He would say as everyone got into the car. Tomioka started. He would say as the black-haired boy accelerated rapidly. Shinobu Tomioka. What is Shinobu doing here? Tanjiro will talk about that later. Look, he said as the men approached in their cars, turn right. We'll lose them under the bridge. With that said, Tomioka accelerated more, going under the bridge, but the men were still behind them, and one of them shot at one of the boys' tires. Tanjiro, we have a problem. Tanjiro, I know, but we have to keep going. At that moment, an idea came to him, seeing a road carrying some huge logs. Akaza, your weapon. He would say, and after the truck passed, he would shoot the ropes holding the logs, causing them to fall and hit the men's cars. Akaza, well done, Tanjiro. They're not following us anymore. He said while looking back. Tanjiro, Gyu, head to the forest, we need to change a tire and clear something up. He said while looking at Shinobu, who had a lost look. Okay, he would say as he went deeper into the forest, where Akaza and Tomioka would take care of fixing the tire, while Tanjiro went to talk to Shinobu. Shinobu, Tanjiro, you have a lot to explain. Who were they? What are those things they were carrying? And why do you have a weapon? She said, somewhat annoyed and confused, but at that moment the boy sat down on a rock while sighing heavily. Tanjiro, that's right, I owe you an explanation, and that is, he looked at the girl who was still somewhat bewildered, I work as an arms dealer. A huge silence filled the room, as Shinobu could only watch the boy trying to find some sign of a lie. Shinobu, you're an arms dealer. She said nervously. Tanjiro, that's right, Tomioka and I are in charge of transporting weapons to different locations, as well as stealing parts to upgrade them. He said with his head down while Shinobu could only listen, she was very confused and amazed. Shinobu, how did you get into this? What made you work in this field? She said while looking at the boy who looked at her for a moment, then looked at the ground. Tanjiro, let me explain everything, how it all began and how it ended. Flashback. How much, Tanjiro? 9 years ago in the city of Kyoto, I lived with my family, who were the kindest and most compassionate people in the world. We all lived in peace. There was nothing to separate us. But I was the one who caused their lives to fall apart. Tanjiro, what's wrong? You haven't touched your food. Tanjiro, I'm not hungry. Tanjiro, you should eat, remember that you'll be coming with me to the forest so we can have many adventures. He said excitedly. Tanjiro, what nonsense are you talking about? You always say the same thing and we never find anything. It's nothing but a waste of time. He said angrily as he stood up. Tanjiro, don't talk to me like that, young man. You're going to your room and you're not coming out until further notice. He said, and the annoyed boy went to his room. Tanjiro, I hate you all. You have no idea how annoying you are. I felt so annoyed that all I could think about was how awful it was to live with them all. I just wanted to leave and never come back. Unlike them, I wasn't the type of person who liked to help others. I thought it was ridiculous. Nezuko, brother, are you there? She said outside the boy's room while knocking. Tanjiro, what do you want, Nezuko? Don't bother me. He said in a deep loud voice. Nezuko, I just want to talk to you. Tanjiro, well, just so you know, I don't want to talk to you, so you'd better leave. I said, and the girl left, leaving the boy alone. I have to get out of here without being seen. Then he used a rope to lower himself down through his window, escaping from the place. That was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made. I ran away to go play with my friends, but when I came back, I saw the worst thing that had ever happened to me. My house and my whole family had been burned down, and only Nezuko survived. Tanjiro, Mom. Dad. I couldn't do anything, just watch as the whole building was destroyed by the flames. After that, my uncle took me and Nezuko in, bringing us to his house. It would take me a long time to return to normal, as I still carried the sadness of having lost my entire family. Hi, nice to meet you. Tanjiro, hello, I'm Tanjiro Kamado, and you are? I'm Zo Higachi, it's a pleasure. I was in my teens, having just turned 13, when I noticed a girl named Zo. To me, she was stunning. I could N''T forget her beauty. Then one day, after we'd been through so much together, I decided it was time to confess my feelings. Tanjiro, hello Zo, I was wondering if you would like to be my girlfriend. Zo, yes, I would like to. I was so naive that day that I didn't realize. Not long after we started dating, she cheated on me with a guy 2 years older than me. Tanjiro, how could you do this to me after everything I gave for you, everything I did for you, and you betray me, he said crying. Zo, wait, let me explain everything, it's not what it seems. Tanjiro, well, it is. After that, my life was a mess. My sister tried to cheer me up, but I was too upset to listen. But after a year, I decided to get back to normal and start spending time with my sister. Nezuko, Uncle Michikatsu said that next year we're going to Tokyo so we can study. She said excitedly, aren't you excited? Tanjiro, not really, it's very difficult to get used to a new place. He said, sounding discouraged. Nezuko, don't worry, I'm sure you'll make lots of friends and you'll have me too, so don't worry. She said while hugging the boy. Tanjiro, thank you, Nezuko, I needed that. Nezuko, don't worry, I'll always be there for you, we'll never be separated again. She said while extending her pinky finger. Tanjiro, never again, he would say, joining his pinky finger with the girl's, making a promise. I was so foolish to promise something like that. Days later, I realized that my uncle wouldn't always be there for us since we were becoming a burden to him. So I tried to find a way to secretly get a job so I could earn some money, but Michikatsu would find out what I was doing and take advantage of that. Hakushibo, Tanjiro, what do you think if I offer you something? Tanjiro, what do you mean? Hakushibo, what do you think about working with me? You'll earn a lot of money and you won't have to worry about money for a long time. Tanjiro, that sounds good, but if that's the case, I should drop out of school. Hakushibo, that's not how it is, you just work at night with some guys while you study during the day. He would say, handing her some papers that talked about the job. Tanjiro. But Uncle Michikatsu, it says here that I have to stay here in Kyoto to be trained. He said, and the man nodded. But I promised Nezuko we'd go to Tokyo together, I can't stay. Hakushibo, I know it's hard and I won't pressure you, just think about it and tell me what you want. He would say, well, the boy thought about many things as the man waited patiently. Tanjiro, you know what, I'll accept working with you, he would say, and the man would smile. Hakushibo, very well, we'll start training tomorrow, so get ready. He said as the boy left the room, but looking ahead he realized that Nezuko had heard everything. Nezuko, tell me it's not true, Tanjiro. Tanjiro, Nezuko. How much did you hear? Nezuko, everything. So you were planning to stay here for a job. What happened to our plans? You promised to stay with me. She said angrily as tears streamed from her eyes. Tanjiro, I know I told you we'd be together. But it'll only be for a while. Then I'm going to Tokyo to see you. Nezuko, just a little while. I lost my mother and father. And you're the only person I have left. But you're telling me you'll leave me alone for a while. What utter nonsense. Go to hell. She said, running out of the house. Tanjiro, Nezuko, wait. He would say, running after the girl. I spent several hours looking for her, but I couldn't find her until after a while I saw her in an alley where I tried to talk to her. Tanjiro, Nezuko, please listen to me. Nezuko, I don't want to. Tanjiro, okay, I just want you to know that I won't stay, I promise to be with you no matter what. Nezuko, it's all lies. You don't want to leave here. You want to work with Uncle Michikatsu. Tanjiro, no, sister, I won't leave you alone, I promise to go with you, and I won't let some stupid job keep me away from my sister, I promise. He said as the girl addressed the boy, who maintained a sincere expression. Nezuko, you promise? Tanjiro, I promise, the two brothers then hugged each other as tears streamed from their eyes. Nezuko, I'm sorry for causing such a scene. Tanjiro, don't worry, let's just go home. He said, trying to leave, but then a man appeared in front of them. Well, what do we have here if it isn't that brat Tanjiro, isn't it? He would say, and the boy would become somewhat alarmed. Tanjiro, who are you? What's it to you? I'll just tell you that I'm the one who will kill you right now, he said, pulling a gun from his pocket. After I kill you, I'll tell the master to eliminate the last of his family, he said, laughing as he pointed the gun at the boy. Tanjiro, wait. I haven't done anything wrong. Don't hurt me. Sorry, rules are rules. He would say where he would fire the gun. The shot would never reach the boy, seeing that his sister had stepped in front of him. Tanjiro, Nezuko, he said as he watched the girl fall to the ground. Well, he was in shock, he didn't know what to do, he didn't know what to say, his whole body was paralyzed, his mind was blank, but he felt a deep sadness overwhelm him. What happened? That girl got in the way, well, I had to kill her too, so I'm not complaining. He said as he pointed the gun at the boy again. Now it's your turn, he didn't finish speaking because the boy had lunged at the man, causing him to fall to the ground and drop his weapon. My body was completely numb and my mind was empty. All I could feel was immense hatred and a profound sadness that gripped my heart. So I took the gun and shot her point blank in the head. I felt no discomfort watching the blood gush from her skull. I only felt my blood burning with rage as I continued firing until the gun ran out of ammunition. Then I returned to my dead sister's body, my tears finally flowing. Tanjiro, Nezuko. Sister. Shouting at the top of his lungs as raindrops began to fall, his tears mingling with the rain, little sister. At that moment, Michikatsu arrived and, seeing the scene, was speechless. Hakushibo, Nezuko, approaching the boy where she would hug him while letting him vent. I spent a lot of time with a huge pain in my heart. I had lost the only person in this world I cared about. After that, my feelings vanished. I became a broken, empty, and hateful being. I had nothing. I could only wait until the moment I was trained by Michikatsu, who, after a long time, took me to Tokyo. There I met Gyu, Akaza and Gyutaro, who tried to talk to me, but I just ignored them every time they tried. After that, I realized that work would never be on my side, so I thought about enrolling in a school, but it seemed too stupid, so I dismissed the idea. Until one day. Rengoku, hey kid, I see you're very smart. He said while looking at the boy who was doing a math exercise. Tanjiro, is there a problem? Rengoku, no, it's just that it seems to me you're looking for somewhere to study, or am I mistaken? The man said, smiling as he looked at the boy. Tanjiro, you're mistaken, I'm not looking for a school. He said seriously and in a cold voice. Rengoku, well, but if you're interested, you can study at Kimetsu High School. I'm a teacher there and you can enroll right now since classes start in a few weeks, so what do you say? Tanjiro, that sounds good, so I'll accept your invitation, but don't expect anything more from me. He said as he stood up from the spot. Rengoku. Very well, here's my address so you can come to my house and give me all your information so you can get into the school. He said, handing a small piece of paper to the boy who put it in his pocket. See you later. Tanjiro, we can't see. That was my chance to go back to school, but even so, my heart was broken. I didn't think about making friends, much less being in a relationship. Everything that's happened to me is too harsh a punishment, but I'm still alive. Then flashback. Shinobu Tanjiro, she was completely silent as she was astonished, not knowing what to say or do. Tanjiro, but I never imagined I'd feel happy again in life. He said, turning to look at the girl who was looking into his almost tearful eyes. Thank you, Shinobu. Without thinking, the boy hugged Shinobu, who just stood there, her blush growing deeper. Shinobu, but Tanjiro, I didn't do anything. Tanjiro, for me, yes, you showed me why I'm still alive, and that's living happily with the people who support me and not letting anyone take away what I have now. He said as tears came out of the boy's eye, making Shinobu feel moved, and she returned the boy's hug while smiling. Shinobu, calm down, everything will be alright, I'm here for you, and don't worry about what I saw, I won't say anything. She said while stroking the boy's hair, but stopped because she saw Tomioka approaching. "You, Tanjiro, the car is ready," he would say, watching the scene where Tanjiro and Shinobu would quickly separate. "Tanjiro, alright. It's time to go." He said while covering his eyes so the black-haired boy wouldn't notice. "It's time to go, Shinobu." "Shinobu, of course, I'm coming right away, you called me Shinobu." "Tanjiro, did I pronounce it wrong?" "Shinobu, it's not just that you always call me by my last name and well, it's kind of strange," she said while looking at the girl who smiled. "Tanjiro, don't worry, it's just that I like your name," he said smiling, which shocked the girl, who blushed all over her face. "Let's go home," he said as he walked towards Tomioka, followed by Shinobu. Elsewhere in the forest. "Sir, the mission was a success," a female voice would say while watching the group of boys walking away from the place. "Muzan, very, you can withdraw, we'll act in a couple of days, just keep to yourself," he would say, cutting off communication. "We'll meet again soon, Tanjiro Kamado, now that I know so much about you." She would say this and leave the place. End of chapter 5. 06. My heart is in you. Shinobu had discovered Tanjiro's secret and he would explain how it all began and ended. She approved of his explanation and decided to keep his secret as long as possible, all while being watched by a girl of unknown appearance who worked for Muzan. But we'll explain that another time. "Tanjiro, I have to take Shinobu home after I drop Gyu and Akaza off at their houses," he thought to himself while driving, looking at the back where Shinobu and Tomioka would be sitting. "Gyu, so you're not going to tell anyone about this?" "Tanjiro, maybe I won't say anything about Tanjiro and Akaza, but I do want you in jail," he would say, threatening the black-haired boy who would only become annoyed. "Gyu, hey, why is that?" "Shinobu, well, because I can't stand you," she would say, and they would both start arguing while Akaza tried to stop them. "Akaza, come on guys, don't argue." "Gyu, Shinobu," he started it. He would say, and both Akaza and Tanjiro would just look on with a confused expression while an anime-style sweat drop fell from his head. "Tanjiro, well, it seems we'll have the whole afternoon free tomorrow. Dauma suggested the job at the cafe," he said while Akaza sighed in relief. "Akaza, Tanjiro, how about we go to my dojo tomorrow?" "Tanjiro, and may I ask what for?" "Akaza, well, I've been helping Gyutaro and Gyu improve their martial arts skills and I was wondering if you and I could have a practice match." He said this while being watched by Tanjiro, who thought about it for a moment before deciding to accept. "Tanjiro, okay, but who are the ones who will arrive?" "Akaza, well, Gyu, Gyutaro, Daki, Kakishibo Dono and my girlfriend Koyuki," he said smiling. "Tanjiro, Kakishibo?" "Akaza, that's right, he said he would go and see the improvement we had made in martial arts." He would say this while Tanjiro just looked at Shinobu who would be confused. "Tanjiro, I'll be there and I'll bring some people, okay?" he said, bringing a smile to both Akaza and Shinobu's faces. Because okay, he would say, and after a few minutes, both he and Gyu would arrive at his house, while Tanjiro headed to his own. "TanjiroxShinobu, wait a moment, I need to take these things to my house, then I'll take you to your sister's," he said while driving towards his home. "Shinobu, okay, no problem," she would say as the boy got out of the car, entering her house, where he would take the stolen items to his room. "Tanjiro, this is your house." "Tanjiro, yes, why?" "Shinobu, it's not just that it's big and very pretty, it's obvious you take very good care of it," she said, looking around. "Tanjiro, thank you." "Shinobu, what is this?" she would say, looking at the photo of a girl with black hair and pink eyes, standing next to the red-haired boy. "Tanjiro, well, I should take you to your," he said, looking at the girl, who was observing the photo with great attention. "Shinobu, she's your sister," she would say, looking at the boy, who was taking the picture while looking at her. "Tanjiro, that's right, she's Nezuko Kamado, my younger sister," he said, treasuring the photo. "Shinobu, how old was I?" "Tanjiro, she was a year younger than me, so she was 12 when she died. If she had been alive, she would be 16 now," he would say, tears trying to escape, but he would resist. "Shinobu, calm down, I don't like seeing you like this," she said, placing her hand on the boy's cheek, who blushed at the girl's action. "Tanjiro, it's better if I take you home, it's very late," he said nervously as he walked towards the door with the girl. "Shinobu, it looks like it's very late," she said, looking around. "Tanjiro, you're right." At that moment, he saw a police patrol car and quickly went into his house with the girl. "Shinobu, what's wrong?" she would say, but Tanjiro would cover her mouth with his hand. "Tanjiro, keep quiet, it seems the officers will be here all night," he whispered while looking out his window at the car. "How strange, they've never come to this place before, why are they here? Maybe they won't be able to detect me, but Kakishibo's car will be a huge problem," he said desperately, since he couldn't leave in the car until those police officers left. "Shinobu, and what will we do, Tanjiro?" "Tanjiro, tell your sister you'll be spending the night here, I'm sorry, but I can't take you to the car." At that, the girl blushed deeply as her nerves took over. "Shinobu, well she said as she stood up and took out her cell phone, "I'll call him now." "Call." "Shinobu, hola." "Annie, Shinobu. Where the hell are you?" "Shinobu, hey, calm down." "Annie, how am I supposed to do it if I don't know where you are?" "Shinobu, I'm at a friend's house and I'll be staying here tonight." "Annie, don't tell me you're at your boyfriend's house. If that's the case, you can stay." "Shinobu, I have to hang up." "Annie?" "Okay, sister, but remember, use protection." "Shinobu, Kanny." End of call. "Tanjiro, and what did he say?" "Shinobu, and nothing, just if I could stay," she would say, smiling nervously. "Tanjiro, okay, you can stay in the guest room, I'll bring you some clothes to wear," he said, leading Shinobu towards his room. "Shinobu, thank you, Tanjiro, really." "Tanjiro, don't worry, here, put this on," he said, handing the girl pajamas. "Shinobu, where did you get this?" "Tanjiro, it belonged to my sister, see if it fits you, it looks a bit small on me," he said as he left the room while Shinobu changed. "Shinobu, well, it seems to fit me well," leaving the room in her pajamas. "Tanjiro, you're shorter than I thought." At that moment he received a blow from the boy. "Shinobu, what do you mean, shorty?" she would say, annoyed. "Tanjiro, alright then, good night, see you tomorrow," trying to calm the girl down. "Shinobu, yes, good night, Tanjiro, see you tomorrow," she said as they both went to their beds to sleep. Time skip. The day was scheduled to begin at 6 a.m., but there was a problem. It was raining heavily, which would prevent the students from going to school, so the teachers decided to cancel it. "Tanjiro, it's raining too much, it looks like there won't be classes today," he said, looking at the stormy weather. "I wonder if Shinobu is awake." Entering the girl's room, seeing her still asleep, "She's still sleeping, I'd better leave her, I'll go prepare breakfast." Going down to the kitchen, he saw something on his front door that surprised him. "Kakishibo, hola, Tanjiro." "Tanjiro, Kakishibo, this has to be a joke. A category 5 hurricane is raging. And you just come here like nothing's wrong," he said in a surprised tone. "Kakishibo, calm down, it's just rain, you think that was going to stop me?" he said, entering the room while taking off his jacket. "Very well, do you have something to tell me about the mission?" Sitting down on a piece of furniture in the living room. "Tanjiro, not much, just that we were chased by a couple of men." He would say this and the man would be surprised. "Kakishibo police?" "Tanjiro, no, they were more like agents because their cars were of high quality," he said while the man started thinking. "Kakishibo, it's strange you recognize them." "Tanjiro, no, it was the first time I'd ever seen them in my life." They were both chatting while being overheard by someone else. "Kakishibo, well, I also have something to tell you, and that is to stay alert because I'm meeting with Muzan and he mentioned that you're being watched by one of his servants." He would say this while Tanjiro was astonished and began to think. "Tanjiro, I wonder if it has something to do with that person from last time." The last time we met, I thought I saw someone near where we were, could it be related? Akishibo, maybe just stay alert for anything. He said as he went to the door. See you later, Tanjiro. Tanjiro, are you really crazy? Are you seriously going to get wet? He said, looking at the man who smiled. Akishibo, yes, I am. Tanjiro, I don't doubt it. He gave a small smile that left the man stunned. Akishibo, we'll talk later, but I have to go. Tanjiro, your car is in the back of the house and the weapons are in my upstairs room. He would say, where the man would take all the weapons the boys had obtained and return to his car. Akishibo, see you. Tanjiro, goodbye. I'm Skip. The weather was still stormy and the purple-haired girl began to leave her room, seeing the Reed cooking. Shinobu, Tanjiro. Tanjiro, good morning Shinobu, sit down, breakfast will be ready in a minute. He said smiling. Shinobu, it's okay, she said nervously as a blush appeared on her cheeks. Tanjiro, well here you go. He said, serving the girl, who without thinking began to eat while being watched by the boy who did not take his eyes off the purple-haired girl. Shinobu, is something wrong? Why are you staring at me so much? She said, sounding uncomfortable and very nervous. Tanjiro, it's nothing, I just find it kind of cute to see you eat. He said smiling as the girl covered her face with both hands to prevent the boy from seeing her blush. Shinobu, see, can you avoid seeing me, she would say, and the boy would do as asked, taking his cell phone and avoiding eye contact with the girl, thank you, smiling. Tanjiro, Shinobu, I want you to answer me, what were you doing in that place? Shinobu, what are you talking about? Tanjiro, you know last night, what were you doing at the factory? Shinobu, well, I got a notification from Mitsuri. She said she wanted to see me, but then she didn't reply after a while, so I decided to head back home that way. I didn't expect you guys to be there. She said this as Tanjiro looked at her seriously while she seemed a little nervous. Is something wrong? Tanjiro, it's nothing, tell me something, did you call Mitsuri afterwards? Shinobu, well, no, I thought I was busy, so I didn't do it. Tanjiro, there's something that's bothering me, and that's how the guy I mentioned, Kakishibo, knows where we are. Could it be that he knows about my closeness to Shinobu? If so, I should keep a close eye on her. He said this while being watched by the girl, who could only look on with some doubt but decided not to say anything. Shinobu, it's strange, Tanjiro has been acting very strange since yesterday. I wonder if it has something to do with what he told me yesterday. She said while still eating breakfast. Tanjiro, perhaps I should take into account what Kakishibo told me. Flashback. Kakishibo, that girlfriend of yours, she seems to have a lot of potential, tell me, do you know if she's ever done any kind of training? Tanjiro, I don't know, but I don't think she's capable of fighting well, because I once found her in trouble with 4 guys who weren't all that great. He would say where they both were, the cafeteria. Kakishibo, well, it doesn't seem like it, she looks strong and agile, you should keep an eye on her. He said while taking a sip of coffee, leaving the boy somewhat doubtful. Then flashback. Tanjiro. Shinobu, can I ask you something? Shinobu, sure, tell me. Tanjiro, have you ever practiced any kind of fighting? Shinobu, my sister once tried to encourage me to enroll in a martial arts school, but it didn't go so well, she would say, recalling a moment when she received a blow to her foot which would leave her out for a month. Tanjiro, tell me, wouldn't you like to learn to fight? Leaving the girl astonished, as she was very fragile, her height was short, but if there was one thing she excelled at, it was her speed and agility. Shinobu, I don't know, I don't think I'll be okay. Tanjiro, don't worry, I'll teach you so you can become strong. He said smiling. Shinobu, well if you say so, so when do we start? Tanjiro, tomorrow at Akaza's dojo, I'll teach you how to fight properly. He said while taking the girl's hand, who blushed at the boy's action. Shinobu, very good, thank you, she would say nervously. Tanjiro, okay, after the rain stops, I'll take you to your sister's. He said smiling. Shinobu, okay, no problem. Tanjiro, my mind is filled with many things, but I think I should have more trust in other people, but I stop thinking about what Kakishibo told me. I should take care of myself. End of chapter 6. 07. A change in me. It was morning, as the previous day the weather had been unpredictable, with heavy rains in Tokyo. Even so, the young people had to attend high school, and our favorite Reed was on his way there, maintaining his typical serious and bitter expression. But he didn't mind the company of the people he called friends, as he had formed a surprising friendship with Tomioka. The club start in a week, you know what you're going to choose. He would talk to the boy while both were waiting for the subway, because now Tanjiro would decide to leave his loneliness behind and try to get along better with people. Tanjiro, I don't know yet, what are you going to choose? Well, I was thinking about tennis, but I think I'll go with soccer. Besides, I'd still like to surpass Obito. He excitedly smiled proudly, leaving Tanjiro with a pitying expression. Tanjiro, that's something I'm sure you didn't expect, because last time Sabito snatched the ball from you without any problem. That time it was because I was still warming up. Tanjiro yes, yes, whatever you say. His smile formed on his face, as did an expression of surprise on Tomioka's face, since it was astonishing to see that smile on the boy, but even so, he didn't dare to say anything, other than just wait until the subway arrived, where both friends would get on, seeing that it was somewhat crowded. It seems to be somewhat full. Tanjiro it seems it's full, everyone wanted to come on this today. He said in amazement, as the number of people on the transport was exaggerated, but they would still manage to travel comfortably until they reached the school, taking less than 30 minutes, getting off the vehicle, and walking to the entrance of the high school. Well, today's a day for being late, we skipped half an hour of class with Professor Iguro, he won't be happy at all. Tanjiro well, we need to hurry before it gets too late. Running through the place until they reached their classroom, where they would see the black-haired man giving the class. Iguro so, Tomioka and Kamado are arriving late. Looking at both boys, who would enter the room towards their seats. Just a little bit. We apologize for the delay. Tanjiro a small delay is nothing, there was just a lot of traffic, it's nothing. He would say seriously, looking at the teacher who would get angry, but would decide to calm down and continue with the lesson. Iguro you can only sit in your place, I'll forgive you this time, but next time you won't get away with it. He said, still annoyed, as Tomioka went to his seat next to Sabito, while the Redeed walked to his seat next to Shinobu, who greeted the boy gently. Shinobu hello Tanjiro, you're a little late, aren't you? Tanjiro hello Shinobu, I'm sorry I'm late. His serious expression changed to a cheerful one, causing the whole place to fall silent until a gasp of astonishment was heard from the students and even the teacher, who couldn't believe the change in the boy, who could only look on in confusion, but he just ignored it and sat next to Shinobu until the end of the hour. Shinobu do you know which club you'll choose next week? She would say with her dazzling smile to the boy, who would return it. Tanjiro well, I'm still not sure, but what will you choose? Shinobu I'll be in the chess club, because I've always liked board games, and I think chess is a game of great intelligence and strategy. Tanjiro I didn't know you liked board games. Shinobu well, now you know, a silence reigned over the scene, but it didn't seem uncomfortable for the two young people, who just looked at each other with some tenderness, until Mitsuri and Mikomo arrived at the place, where they looked away while blushing. Mitsuri Shinobu. Shinobu Mitsuri, there's no need to shout, I'm here. She said, looking at the pink-haired girl, who was breathing heavily and sweating profusely. Mikomo it's about the news from the principal, she would say, explaining what Mitsuri was going to say, but the boys would just look at each other, asking questions, since they didn't remember hearing any kind of news from the administration. Shinobu what news is it? Mitsuri this is the new exchange student who will be arriving today. Tanjiro exchange student that sounds a bit strange, since we're a bit ahead of schedule for more people to be coming to study. Shinobu I don't know anything about that, besides, what does it matter? He'll just be another person at school, it's not surprising. She said smiling, but glanced sideways at Tanjiro who was very thoughtful. Mitsuri yes, but I heard that she was a martial arts champion and the top student at Kyoto High School. Tanjiro a martial arts champion? The best student in Kyoto High School? That's not true, he said, somewhat astonished, as his thoughts were focused on only one person. Shinobu sounds interesting. Not long after, the other students would enter, along with the principal Kagari Ibayashiki. Ibayashiki good morning, dear students. My presence in this room is to announce the new exchange student at our school. Speaking calmly and quietly, so that all the students in the room could hear, you may come in now. Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you all. My name is Ohagachi, I hope we get along very well. All the young people stared at the white-haired girl as she entered, but if anyone was particularly astonished, it was our protagonist, who could only watch in awe and fear. The guy alright, you can take the seat in the back. The girl walked to her seat and saw the red-haired boy, her eyes widening in surprise. Very well, that was all I wanted to inform you, besides having a free hour, since your teacher Yuzui couldn't come today. The principal then left, and all the students began to leave the classroom except for a few. Mitsuri alright Shinobu, let's go buy some food, I'm really hungry. Shinobu I'll be right there. She said while looking at Tanjiro, who was just staring down. Tanjiro, are you okay? Tanjiro don't worry, I'm just a little bored. I'll go play some soccer with Gyu and Sabito. He said smiling. Shinobu alright, see you later. Remember we're going to Akaza's dojo after school. She hugged the boy, who returned the hug, and then watched her leave with her friends. Tanjiro now you'll tell me what you're doing here. So is this how you greet your girlfriend? She said, walking towards the boy who just looked at her with a gloomy expression. Tanjiro I remind you that you and I are nothing since you cheated on me. So first of all, I never cheated on you, it was just a misunderstanding. Tanjiro misunderstanding if that was kissing a guy in secret. So that was a trap they set for me, you know how much I cared about you. Tanjiro, it's all lies. Do you really think I'm stupid enough to believe that lie? He said angrily. So come on, you and I both know that deep down there's still love, it's just that you chose to believe in what you saw, not in reality. Tanjiro, love is lost, Zo, and you know it. Zo, not yet, Tanjiro, I still love you. I've never stopped thinking about you. When we separated, I was depressed for many days, waiting to see you again and be with you. Sadness began to vibrate in her body, her eyes slightly teary. Tanjiro, it's too late, I already have someone else. Upon saying these words, the white-haired girl's sadness turned to anger. Oh, no way. Tanjiro, I'm leaving, I just wasted my time. Turning around and heading for the door. So at least tell me who it is. Tanjiro, find out for yourself. Leaving the place, leaving the girl, who would hit the wall loudly while her anger ruled her mind. So I'll kill the girl who dared to take Tanjiro from me. She said as she stood up and left the room, covering her face so that the others couldn't see her. But Tanjiro. He had met up with Tomioka and they were going to the library as the dark-haired boy needed to look something up in the books. Tanjiro, on the other hand, was just looking for a way to clear his mind as he was conflicted because his ex-girlfriend was now at the place where he studied. Are you alright? You seem a little distracted. Tanjiro, it's nothing, I'm just feeling a bit pensive. How strange, he's been acting like this ever since I found him, it's as if his eyes are seeing something terrible. He said while glancing sideways at the boy. Tanjiro, understand Gyu. Is something wrong? Tanjiro, have you ever been in love with someone? He would say while covering his face, where the black-haired boy would look at him with some astonishment. Well, I don't know how to say it, but I think I'm still in love. At that moment his cheeks changed color, which Tanjiro noticed. Tanjiro, and may I ask who it is? Well, it's kind of embarrassing, but it's about Professor Kanny. A silence fell over the place, as Tanjiro was somewhat surprised, but he didn't show it. Tanjiro, that's very impressive and also strange, but it's acceptable. Walking forward. What do you mean by that? Tanjiro, nothing, it's just that you like them older, huh? He said while smiling mockingly. Hey. It's only a 3-year difference, nothing more. Tanjiro, yes, whatever you say. And you tell me. Why do you ask? Do you like someone? The questions pulled the boy from his thoughts and he just looked to the side, a small glimmer appearing in his eyes, so that's it. Tanjiro, shut up. He would say, putting on an angry expression. Haha, and on top of that you got angry, he would say laughing loudly while looking at Tanjiro who was only thinking about whether to shoot him now or not. Tanjiro, we'd better go, classes will start soon. They both went to their classroom, but it seemed they were overheard by someone else. Shinobu, Tanjiro is in love with someone. That's the end of chapter 7. 08. Are you okay? Tanjiro was taking a shower as he had to go to Akaza's dojo today with Shinobu since he had promised to train her so she could defend herself. There was also a new problem. His ex-girlfriend was at the same school. He lied about being in a relationship, which wasn't true, but he had to act carefully. Tanjiro, I need to stop by Shinobu's house, then we'll head towards Akaza's dojo. He would leave his house on his way to the purple-haired girls, where in less than 20 minutes, he would arrive knocking on the door. Annie, hello Tanjiro, it's good to see you here. She said excitedly, smiling broadly. Tanjiro, why Shinobu? Annie, she's in her room, I'll tell her to come downstairs now. She said as she headed towards her sister's room. Hey Shino, Tanjiro is looking for you. Shinobu, what do you want? Her voice sounded somewhat annoyed, which Kanny noticed. Annie, are you okay? You seem angry. Shinobu, I'm fine. Tell him I'm coming right away. She would shout rather loudly, which would leave Kanny somewhat puzzled, who would just walk towards the door where Tanjiro was. Annie, excuse me, Tanjiro. She says she'll be right back, but she seems a little annoyed. Tanjiro, annoyed? Why? Annie, I'm not sure, maybe it's just stress. She said with a sigh, wondering if she had done something to make the girl feel bad. Tanjiro, don't worry, Kanny, it's probably nothing important. Smiling, which calmed the girl down. Shinobu, alright, we can go now. She suddenly appeared, surprising Tanjiro and Kanny. Let's go now. She took the boy's hand, leaving the place with him, who was confused. Annie, see you later. Tanjiro, please take care of her. She said from behind, receiving a yes from Tanjiro. Tanjiro, Shinobu, why are you walking so fast? Wait. He said, looking at the girl who ignored him and continued walking. What's wrong with her? Is she mad at me? Shinobu, damn it, why? Tanjiro is in love with someone, I lost my chance. Her annoyed expression changed to a sad one, stopping in her tracks while Tanjiro watched her. Tanjiro, Shinobu, are you alright? Are you upset with me? Shinobu, maybe I should put my feelings aside. He's interested in another girl now and I wouldn't want to hurt his feelings. She looked up, sighing deeply, and saw the boy. Tanjiro she's upset, I know it, his mind was on the girl, but he would see a certain person he hated with all his soul approaching. Zo hola Tanjiro. Tanjiro, what do you want, Zo? Zo, nothing, I was just walking by and wanted to say hi. She would say smiling, but upon noticing the girl's presence, she would get angry. Who is she? Shinobu, I am. She would watch in surprise as Tanjiro, in a flash, took her in a hug while putting on his serious expression. Tanjiro, she's my girlfriend, Shinobu Kochou. He said this while Shinobu was completely silent, blushing furiously and covering her face with her hands. So girlfriend. So she's the girl you're in a relationship with. Many veins would appear on her face, seeing her annoyed and jealous expression. Tanjiro, that's right, and if you'll excuse me, we have to go. He said, taking the girl's hand and walking alongside her, hugging her, while they were watched by the white-haired girl who kept clenching her fists. Oh you damn bitch. I'll kill you, she would say this after leaving the place. Shinobu, what was that, Tanjiro? And who is she? Tanjiro, let me explain, she's Zo Hagachi, my ex-girlfriend. This would shock the girl who could only think about why Tanjiro acted like that. Shinobu, so she's the girl who cheated on you with someone else in Kyoto. Tanjiro, that's right, I told her I was in a relationship so she'd stop bothering me because she still wants to get back together with me. Shinobu, and why me? Tanjiro, I'm sorry, it's just that you're my best friend and I thought you might help me. Shinobu, I'm willing to help you, but don't do what you did a moment ago again. She said, blushing, remembering the hug the boy gave her. Tanjiro, I'm sorry and thank you for not betraying me. Shinobu, don't worry, let's head to Akaza's dojo before it gets late. Tanjiro, okay, so they both continued on their way until they reached Akaza's dojo, seeing all of Tanjiro's friends, along with Kakishibo sitting on benches. Akaza, hello Tanjiro, it's good to see you came. She would say while hugging the girl who would just look at her somewhat seriously. Tanjiro, don't do that, it's very unpleasant for me. He would say as he removed the boy's hand from his shoulder, who would just laugh and walk away from him. Akaza, sorry, I didn't expect you to be so sensitive, hahaha, laughing loudly until he noticed the girl's presence. Hello Shinobu, I see Tanjiro wasn't lying when he said he would come with you. Shinobu, hi Akaza, and yes, Tanjiro said he'd give me some lessons so I could defend myself. Akaza, if you want, I can teach you, since I was the one who taught Tanjiro everything he knows. Before saying anything else, Tanjiro would stand in front of Akaza with a gloomy expression. Tanjiro, it's not necessary, I was the one who told him I would show him martial arts, so I ask you not to get too close. Upon saying this, Akaza would back away as Tanjiro's voice triggered some nervousness in the boy. Akaza, hey, calm down, it's okay, you can train her, I was just trying to help. She said nervously, while Tanjiro simply walked towards the girl, changing his serious expression to a smile. Tanjiro, alright Shinobu, come with me, I'll show you how the training works. He said with a smile, as he led the girl to a place where all his friends were. Gyutaro, hello Tanjiro, it's good to see you. Tanjiro, hello Gyutaro, same here, I see you're not sick anymore. As he smiled, Gyutaro looked on in amazement as he stared in astonishment at the Riti's cheerful expression. You relax, I'll explain how it works later. Tomioka said, whispering in Gyutaro's ear. Kakishibo, it seems you considered my suggestions. She said, appearing behind the boy. Tanjiro, Kakishibo. Kakishibo, don't worry, Tomioka explained everything that happened to me. Smiling, making the boy do the same, by the way, now that she knows our secret, it would be a good idea to prepare it just in case. Heading towards Shinobu, who looked somewhat confused. Shinobu, do you want me to work with you? Kakishibo, of course not, we'll only put your life at risk, so we'd better teach you how to defend yourself, so you won't be in any danger in the future. Shinobu. I see, so when can I begin, Mr. Michikatsu? Kakishibo, first, call me Kakishibo, and second, you'll start today. Tanjiro and Akaza will show you martial arts, and then I'll teach you how to use a weapon. This last part would somewhat shock the girl. Tanjiro, relax, the last part is just in case. He said, calming the girl down. Shinobu, okay, just promise me nothing bad will happen. Tanjiro, I promise, we're only doing this to keep you safe. He said smiling, which gave the girl enough confidence. Okay, come on, I'll teach you everything I know. He said, taking the girl's hand as he ran towards a place where there were many training objects. They seem to be perfect for each other, don't you think, Kakishibo Dono? Kakishibo, that's right. You know, if I'm not mistaken, I give it a couple of months for it to be like that. He said, smiling. 2 long months would pass, during which Shinobu had managed to learn to defend herself, thanks to the help of Tanjiro and the others, with whom the girl had managed to establish a friendship, especially with Gyutaro's younger sister Daki, becoming great friends. Tanjiro, this class is so boring. The Redeed said, sounding bored as he sat through math class with the other students. Shinobu, well, you're right, how much longer until it's over? Tanjiro, there are still 20 minutes left, how annoying. Letting out a huge sigh. Shinobu, well, it's a bit of a while, but just pretend you understand and that's it. She said, turning to look at the boy again, who seemed to have fallen asleep. Tanjiro, Tanjiro, Tanjiro. At that moment the boy jolted up while they watched as the teacher approached them. Ringoku, hey you all. Be quiet. He said angrily. Shinobu, we're sorry, Professor Ringoku, I just got carried away. She smiled nervously, but it was enough to get the man back in the classroom. Tanjiro, because of you, we almost got into trouble. Shinobu, it was your fault you fell asleep. Tanjiro, yes, whatever you say. The bond between Tanjiro and Shinobu had grown stronger as they now shared a great deal of trust and communication. Furthermore, they would pretend to be a couple whenever Zo was around, something Tanjiro had asked her to do. At first, she would deny it, but in the end, Tanjiro would convince her. Time skip. The high school bell would ring, marking the end of the school day, and Tanjiro would decide to accompany Shinobu home, but more because he thought he needed to have enough confidence to ask her out. Shinobu, goodbye Tanjiro, see you at training later, okay, she said as she went into her house before Tanjiro grabbed her arm. Is something wrong? Tanjiro, no, it's nothing, it's just I was wondering if you would like to go with me to dinner. He looked away, his face as red as a tomato. Shinobu, a date. Tanjiro, if you want to call her that. Shinobu, sure, that sounds fun, plus I have nothing to do. She said smiling. Tanjiro, okay, I'll pick you up at 7 p.m, alright. He said, turning to leave, but was stopped by Shinobu who gave him a small kiss on the lips. Shinobu, have a nice afternoon, Tanjiro. She said, entering her house, where Tanjiro remained silent, too dazed by Shinobu's kiss, who was equally stunned. No way I kissed him, he must be upset. Annie, hello sister, why are you arriving so late? Shinobu, Kanny. What are you doing here? Annie, well, Kanao and I got bored of waiting for you, so we decided to go ahead. Besides, it seems it was a good idea, I see your boyfriend came to drop you off. She said mockingly. Shinobu, how much did you see? Annie, well, look, listen, and this is the moment where you tell me you're going out to dinner with Tanjiro tomorrow at 7 p.m. At that moment, a laugh could be heard from Kanao, who was watching them from the side of the house. Kanao, I'm sorry, sister, it's just that I find what Kans is saying to you kind of funny. Covering her mouth with one of her hands. Shinobu, okay. Just let me rest a little, I'll be out for a while later. Annie, with your boyfriend, it's probably to give him another kiss. Shinobu, Kanny. With Tanjiro. Tanjiro, I know you're there, you can come out now. He said while looking towards an alley from which Kakishibo would emerge. Kakishibo news. Tanjiro and I hope they're good. Kakishibo, I'd like to, but no, tomorrow night I've been summoned by Muzan-sama to discuss our work being dissolved until further notice. He said seriously. Tanjiro, you're saying we won't be working as smugglers anymore. Kakishibo, that's right, well, it seems no interested buyers have appeared for some weapons, so tomorrow I'll speak with Muzan-sama to find out what happened. He said, while Tanjiro remained silent until a smile appeared on his face. Tanjiro, it's alright after all, I was thinking of giving up on that thing, because I realized that money or material things don't matter now, my life is more valuable because I have friends who haven't abandoned me. These words would amaze the man who smiled while stroking the boy's head. Kakishibo, very well, we'll see each other tomorrow afternoon. Tanjiro, goodbye Kakishibo, maybe you can tell the others about this news, Gyu will be happy about this, since he wanted to quit from the beginning. Kakishibo, no problem, see you later. The man then left, leaving the boy alone who looked up at the sky again. Tanjiro, tomorrow I'll make sure Shinobu has a good time even if it costs a bit, but I have to do it right. Now that I won't be working for Muzan anymore, I can dedicate all my time to my studies. He said smiling, then left for home. End of chapter. 09. I won't hide it anymore. The clock struck 6:30 p.m. and our protagonist was at home, having managed to ask Shinobu out to dinner. Tanjiro had devised a perfect plan, as today was the day he intended to confess his feelings to Shinobu, so he decided to make it a perfect evening. He even lent Kakishibo his car, as Kakishibo was willing to help his nephew. Meanwhile, Shinobu was chatting with her sister, as she was ready to leave with Tanjiro, who had told her about the place they were going, prompting the girl, with the help of her sisters, to look for the perfect outfit. Annie, you look very pretty, sister. Tanjiro will surely faint when he sees you. She said while helping the girl with her makeup. And now Kanny is right, you look very pretty. She said while looking at the girl who was very nervous. Shinobu, thank you, sisters, I really appreciate it. She would give them a smile, and after a few minutes they would share a hug until they heard the sound of a car outside. Kanny, it's definitely him. At that moment, the sound of the door opening was heard, and Kanny went to open it. Tanjiro, hello Kanny, is Shinobu here? He said somewhat nervously, as the girl examined him. Kanny, wait a second. She would leave the boy alone at the door while she went to Shinobu, who was blushing furiously, but she would go to where the boy was. Shinobu, hello, good evening Tanjiro. The boy was extremely nervous, looking at the girl with great anxiety because of her beauty. Tanjiro, good evening Shinobu, you look very pretty. She looked away to avoid the girl seeing her blush. Shinobu, gee, thank you look very handsome too. Tanjiro, thank you, what do you say we go? He said smiling, but inside he was too anxious and nervous. Shinobu, okay. See you later, sisters, goodbye. She said, waving goodbye to the butterfly girls, who watched the couple leave in the car. Annie, today's the day we get a brother-in-law. She said while giving Kanao a high five. But the couple. They were both in a profound silence, as they didn't know what to do other than simply look away. Shinobu. And where will we go, Tanjiro? Tanjiro, you'll see, it's a surprise. Shinobu, I'm so anxious. The atmosphere felt somewhat awkward as Shinobu looked for any way to talk until they arrived at the place. Tanjiro, can I ask you something? Shinobu, sure, tell me. Tanjiro, why do you and your sisters wear those butterfly-shaped brooches? The boy's question made the younger Kochou smile, as she found it very nice that the Ritiid was asking something about her. Shinobu, well, when we were little, my mother and father used to style our hair like that, so we've worn those clips ever since. It's also a way to show our love for butterflies. The boy's question would be answered, but it seemed the girl had a question that wouldn't leave her alone. Now you tell me. Do those earrings have any meaning? Tanjiro. Well, yes, and they're an inheritance from my family that's been passed down from generation to generation. So when I have children, I should give them to them. Shinobu, and that's where I come in. Tanjiro, did you say something? Shinobu, I know, I didn't say anything. She looked towards the side of the car, hoping the boy wouldn't hear anything. Tanjiro, it seems we've arrived at the place. Upon getting out of the car, the girl would see that she was in a very luxurious restaurant, which would leave her somewhat amazed, but upon seeing Tanjiro's very confident face, she would return to normal. Shinobu, Tanjiro, is this where we'll have dinner? Tanjiro, sure, is there a problem? He would say, sounding a little puzzled as the girl took in every detail of the place. Shinobu, it's not expensive, I wouldn't want you to spend a lot of money. She would say, somewhat discouraged, while Tanjiro looked on in amazement, but he would put his hand on her shoulder, smiling at her and giving her the confidence she needed. Tanjiro, don't worry, it's not a big deal, just relax and enjoy. They both entered the place, where they were attended by a waiter, who took them to a table and gave them menus so they could decide what to eat. Shinobu, all the dishes look delicious, but they're a bit pricey. I don't want Tanjiro to spend too much on me. Her disappointed expression returned, noticed by Tanjiro, who took her hand. Tanjiro, Shinobu, I know you don't want me to spend a lot of money, but that's not important now. I want you to enjoy this evening, so please order whatever you want and don't worry about the money. These words made the girl nod, before noticing that they were holding hands, causing her cheeks to blush as they quickly pulled their hands away. Shinobu, how embarrassing. Tanjiro, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. He said while looking to the side. Shinobu, I can't promise it was an accident. Before she could say anything else, the waiter arrived and they ordered their food. The man went to the kitchen to have the dishes prepared while the boys waited. After dinner, they both left the restaurant and headed to the park where they sat down to chat while elsewhere in Tokyo, Kakishibo and Muzan were meeting. Kakishibo, will you tell me why you summoned me today? Muzan. Well, it's to talk about your equipment. Kakishibo, is something wrong with them? Muzan, this is to tell you that your work with them is dissolved because I have managed to achieve what I wanted. This would leave Kakishibo somewhat confused, who would observe with some doubt. Kakishibo, did you achieve what you wanted? Muzan, very good listening, Kakishibo. You really are someone very special. At that moment, two men appeared from behind, where they grabbed Kakishibo by both arms and legs. Kakishibo, let me go right now. The man was handcuffed and tied to a wooden chair. Muzan, it's a shame it has to end like this, because I thought I'd give you a chance. Kakishibo, what the hell is going on? Muzan, I'll explain it this way, we were never arms dealers, it was you and your children who were improving my equipment. He said laughing, as he sat down in front of Kakishibo, who glared at the black-haired man with hatred. Kakishibo, for what reason? What will you do with those weapons? Muzan, well, it's very simple, and that is to rule Japan, because I always wanted to destroy the country, but there was something that prevented me, and that was the lack of weaponry. After that, I would head towards England, where I would arm my troops to attack. Even so, I don't have what I need to fight, I need to improve my weapons, and there is only one way to do it. Before he could finish his sentence, Kakishibo interrupted him. Kakishibo, the dragon's ruby. Muzan, that's right, Tanjiro was the only one who knew of his existence, but he refused to work with me, that's why he died. Now I'm just waiting for Tanjiro to find him, so I can begin my attack. Before he could continue speaking, a laugh from Kakishibo could be heard. Akishibo, very foolish indeed. Tanjiro doesn't know about the existence of that jewel, so your plan is a complete failure. He smiled confidently, but received a blow from one of the men who had him restrained. Muzan, sooner or later, that will be revealed. For now, I can only raise my army of soldiers. After I obtain the ruby, I will head to England. He said as he walked towards his chair. Akishibo, you really are very annoying. He would say with an angry expression. Muzan, I'm sorry, Kakishibo, but if you hadn't grown fond of the boy, well, perhaps you would be part of my army. For now, I can only keep you as my prisoner so that later you can witness the death of your nephew. Thus, the men took Kakishibo to take him away, who tried to resist. Akishibo, you bastard, if you dare touch him, I'll kill you. Muzan, goodbye Kakishibo. After Kakishibo was taken away, he would take his phone to start calling Dauma. Call to Dauma. Muzan, how are you doing? Dauma, they left the restaurant, now they're heading to the park. Muzan. Excellent, let's hope the plan works, that way we'll get what we're looking for. For now, stay alert for anything. Dauma, understood, sir. End of call. Muzan, Tanjiro, I have you right where I wanted you. He said smiling, before leaving the place. With Tanjiro and Shinobu. Shinobu, is something wrong, Tanjiro? You look very thoughtful. Tanjiro, don't worry, it's just that I have a feeling. Shinobu, did he notice? Tanjiro, forget it, it's nothing, come sit here with me. He said, sitting down on a bench, as did the girl. Shinobu, you know, I wanted to thank you for inviting me, so thank you very much, Tanjiro. She said smiling, well, the boy just looked at her for a moment before returning the smile. Tanjiro, don't worry, it's nothing, after all we're friends, yeah, friends. Shinobu, yes, you know I wanted to talk about it, and it's just that you invited me so much tonight, and well, you've been with me for a while, now you taught me how to fight and many other things, I'm very grateful for that. Tanjiro, don't worry, you gave me something much better, and that is that you took me out of my pain and suffering, you gave me a reason to live, that is very precious to me. Shinobu, well, she was interrupted by Tanjiro, who put a finger to her lips. Tanjiro, let me finish, he said while looking up at the sky with such nostalgia. All my life I've thought I was a person who only carries problems and detection, but you helped me, you gave me the reason why I keep living. Now that I've finally decided to leave traffic behind, I want to spend the rest of my time with you, to always see those eyes of kindness and affection, that smile of trust and love, all of that for me is the best thing that ever happened to me. He turned his gaze towards the girl, who was watching with enormous amazement and attention, her purple eyes shining from one moment to the next, while her mind couldn't stop thinking about the boy, just like her heart, which was in complete madness. Shinobu, he asked, confessing to me, her thoughts were focused on one thing, and that was the boy's eyes, which she could only see with immense affection and trust. Tanjiro, tell me something, Shinobu Kochou, wouldn't you like to stop being a fake couple and make it real? Extending his hand towards the girl, hoping she would accept his feelings, well, she was extremely flustered, as what she had most desired was coming true. Looking away, she gazed towards the moon, smiling. Shinobu, the moon is very beautiful tonight. The words reached the boy, who realized their meaning, which led him to touch his chest, while he got closer to the girl, who did the same. Tanjiro, thank you so much for reciprocating my feelings. The two young people moved closer, their breaths mingling. Shinobu wrapped her arms around Tanjiro's neck and he passionately kissed her, creating a moment of peace between them. Meanwhile, they were being watched by Daki and Gyutaro, who observed from a tree. Daki, yes. He finally confessed. Gyutaro would put his hand over the girl's mouth while pointing at the silence with a finger. Akaza, be quiet, they'll discover us. Akaza would appear, observing the scene with a smile. They finally did it. The moment was very calm until both Akaza and Gyutaro saw something very interesting. Gyutaro, Akaza, you're seeing it. Akaza, that's right, but if it's Dauma, what could he be doing here? They both looked at the blonde man, who was in his car, which then drove away after a moment. What's wrong? Gyutaro, we have to tell Kakishibo, don't know about this, it's strange. Akaza, is Dauma the spy who's been investigating us? They both just stared with enormous doubt until after a moment. Gyutaro, they're moving, we should go. He said while watching Tanjiro walk hand in hand with Shinobu. Akaza, alright, we have to go. End of chapter 9. 10. Resentment. The night was very calm and relaxing, with the moon illuminating the entire city of Tokyo, revealing a certain couple walking peacefully through a park. It was our protagonists, who were walking hand in hand, enjoying a moment of peace and affection. Tanjiro, it's getting late, we'd better go. He said, stopping in his tracks, his gaze fixed on the girl, who nodded gently. Shinobu, alright, let's go. Tanjiro, okay. They both returned to the car's location to leave, but something only Shinobu knew was about the sights at the location, which were of Daki, Gyutaro, and Akaza. Daki, see? Akaza, silence. Gyutaro, Daki, stop screaming like a sicko. He said while putting his finger to the girl's lips. Aki, I'm sorry, I got carried away. She would say nervously. Gyudro, alright, we should leave before it gets too late. Walking alongside Daki, but noticing that Akaza was deep in thought. Is something wrong, Akaza? Akaza, it's about Dauma's presence here. Gyudro, you're right, that was very strange. They both kept thinking about what the blonde man was doing there. Akaza, will talk about it with Kakishibo Dono tomorrow, for now we must return. Koyuki will kill me for being late. He said, thinking of an excuse to explain to his girlfriend why he arrived home late. Gyudro, well, don't dwell on that and let's get out of here. So they both walked with Daki, leaving the place. With Tanjiro and Shinobu. Shinobu, will you drop me off at home? Tanjiro. Well, it's getting late and your sisters are probably asleep, so you'll sleep at my house. Shinobu, about that, can I ask you something? Tanjiro, claro. Shinobu, yes, we could sleep together. This would leave Tanjiro somewhat astonished, but seeing that Shinobu was now his girlfriend, he had to do what she asked. Tanjiro, okay, if you want, I can't say no. As he said this, the girl smiled happily. Shinobu, thank you, Tanjiro. Tanjiro, don't worry, butterfly. Time skip. A few minutes later, they both arrived at Tanjiro's house, where after changing, they went to sleep, both lying down in bed. Tanjiro, good night, Shinobu, he would say with a smile, then lie down and cover himself with a sheet. Shinobu, can I hug you? Tanjiro, of course. Shinobu would then hug Tanjiro, who would do the same, being in a relaxing position for both of them. Are you comfortable? Shinobu, yes, thank you very much. After that, they both fell into a deep sleep. Narrator. While the young people were resting, in another part of the city, Kakishibo could be seen, who looked somewhat beaten, with his clothes in pieces, walking through the streets while holding one of his arms, which appeared to be injured. Kakishibo, I managed to escape but not entirely unharmed, he would say as he walked, somewhat injured, being seen by people who were astonished by the man's condition. Hey buddy, you don't look good. A taxi would stop next to Kakishibo, who wouldn't think twice before getting in. Kakishibo, I'll pay you 1,000 yen if you take me to this address. The taxi driver agreed and took Kakishibo to his house. Upon arrival, Kakishibo paid the fare and went to lie down on his bed. I need to talk to Tanjiro and the others about this. Muzan isn't playing around. We need to find a way to get rid of him. He then fell unconscious. The next day. Tanjiro could be seen waking up, where he would see the girl even though she was still asleep. Tanjiro, she does look cute when she sleeps. He would start shaking the girl to try to wake her up. Shinobu, let me sleep. Tanjiro, it's 10 a.m, it's very late. He said, smiling as he continued shaking the girl until she woke up. Shinobu, but Tanjiro, today is Saturday, there's no school today. She said while making a serious expression. Tanjiro, come on, Shinobu, it's 10 a.m, we should get out of bed and clear our minds, besides, we're dating now and I'd like to spend time with you. He said while stroking the girl's hair. Shinobu, okay, let's have breakfast and then we'll go to my sisters to give them the news. She said, smiling as they both changed and went downstairs for breakfast. Tanjiro, I'll prepare breakfast, you sit there. Shinobu, let me help you. After they both finished cooking, they were about to eat, but Tanjiro noticed something strange outside his house. Tanjiro, Shinobu, pasa, I'll go. Tanjiro. Tanjiro, it's nothing, it just seemed to me. At that moment the door of the house was blown off its hinges and Tanjiro grabbed Shinobu and hid behind a wall. Hands up, the national police are here. A white-haired man with several scars on his face would shout. Tanjiro, calm down, everything will be alright. Whispering into Shinobu's ear, who seemed somewhat frightened. Tsunemi, Tanjiro Kamado. You are under arrest for various crimes in Tokyo. These include illegal arms trafficking, armed robbery, and attempted murder of several officers. 2 police officers appeared behind Tanjiro, threw him to the ground, and handcuffed him. Meanwhile, Shinobu was restrained by Tsunemi. Tanjiro, let her go. He said while trying to get the officers off him. Tsunemi, you have the right to remain silent, any words spoken will be used against you. He said as the men took Tanjiro away. Shinobu, Tanjiro. Let me go. Tsunemi, you're such a pain. Tsunemi then struck Shinobu in the neck, knocking her unconscious and enraging Tanjiro. Tanjiro, you damn son of a bitch. The boy would thus free himself from the 2 policemen, heading towards Tsunemi, but he would take out a gun, where he would shoot a dart at the boy who then fell asleep on the ground. Tsunemi, take him away. He would say while calling another police officer who would help him with Shinobu. Time skip. Shinobu was waking up, finding herself in her room, where she would go downstairs and see the same white-haired policeman talking to Kani. Tsunemi, I recommend you don't leave the house for a week. He said while putting down some papers that talked about Shinobu's robbery. Kani, I didn't know my sister was capable of this, she would say in shock, as would Kanao who was present. Tsunemi many cameras show us different scenarios where Shinobu Kochou can be seen in restricted areas, but we have no proof that she was an accomplice of Tanjiro Komodo, so we decided to let it go. Pulling images of her uniform where the girl can be seen in different military locations. Shinobu, this is fake. I never went to those places. Appearing in the place while looking at the images. Tsunemi, that will be investigated, for now we only have the one we were concerned about. Shinobu, where is he? He's innocent. Tsunemi, if there's one thing I can guarantee, it's that he's nothing more than a very dangerous criminal. Shinobu, he's not a criminal, he's being falsely accused. At that moment, Kani took her hand, looking somewhat angry. Annie, enough, Shinobu. Go to your room and don't come out until further notice. Shinobu, you can't give me orders. You're not my mother. With that, the girl went to her room, leaving the others in complete silence, while Kani looked at the floor, somewhat disheartened. Tsunemi, with your permission, I'll take my leave. I have to put that monster behind bars. He said, and left with another policeman who was at the door. See on Shinobu. She was crying in her bed because now Tanjiro was in prison and she could N''T do anything, so she decided to make a change where she would change into nicer clothes while she took her cell phone and told Daki to gather the whole squad at Akaza's dojo. Call. Daki, hi Shinobu, what's up? Shinobu, Daki, it's urgent. I need you to gather the entire squad at Akaza's dojo right now. Daki, okay, I let everyone know. Shinobu, very well. End of call. Shinobu, I have to get out of here. Shinobu left her house as quietly as possible, making her way to the street where she took a taxi to Akaza's dojo. 20 minutes later. Tomioka, Akaza, Gyutaro, Daki and Kakishibo could be seen waiting as they had all been notified by Daki about something urgent. Shinobu, hello everyone, the girl said with a serious expression while being looked at by the others. Akaza, what's going on? Ryu, where is Tanjiro, Shinobu? Gyutaro, wow, and that change. Shinobu, Tanjiro was arrested by the police and I need your help to get him out of prison. Upon saying this, the whole place fell silent as it was very strange how the police had managed to find the redeed. Kakishibo, Tanjiro is under pressure, so Muzan began his plan. He said, where all eyes were turned towards him. Akaza, what does Kakishibo dono mean? Does he say that Muzan is responsible for the police finding Tanjiro? Kakishibo, well, I wanted to inform you along with Tanjiro, but I'll tell you now, Muzan has deceived us and he plans to kill us all and he's also planning to attack Japan. Ryu, did he deceive us? He's telling us that all this time we've been stealing weapons for him. He would say this and Kakishibo would nod and everyone in the place would look furious while his mind focused on a single objective. Akaza, we worked with him all this time, only for him to turn on us. Why? Kakishibo, Muzan has always sought a way to invade all of Japan, but he didn't have enough equipment, so he recruited us to obtain weapons strong enough to achieve his goal. However, he still lacks something to truly challenge Japan, and that is a jewel called the Dragon Ruby. It is said that this jewel possesses immense energy enough to overload high-level weapons. Everyone in the place was silent while they imagined what it would be like if Muzan were to obtain the jewel. Ryu, and where is that ruby? Kakishibo, nobody knows, my brother searched for him for a long time, but he couldn't find him. Akaza, this is serious, but we must get Tanjiro out of prison if we want to stop Muzan. He would say, and everyone would gather in a circle. Kakishibo, luckily, I know the prison very well, we just have to enter through this ventilation duct, that way we'll reach the place where they lock up the prisoners. He would say this while looking on his cell phone for a map showing every part of the prison. Shinobu, can I help? Kakishibo, well, I didn't want to, but now that you're part of the team, you'll help us get it out. He said, and the girl nodded while smiling. Shinobu, you can count on it. As she said this, Kakishibo smiled as she turned back to her cell phone. Kakishibo, everyone go get your outfits, this is going to get serious. So everyone went home to change, while Kakishibo and Shinobu went to Tanjiro's house to get the man's car and some weapons. Shinobu, will we need these weapons? Kakishibo, they're just in case. We won't kill anyone. He said while loading all the equipment into the car, okay, it's time to go. Shinobu, very well, calm down, Tanjiro, we're coming for you. End of chapter 10. 11. The truth towards the light. It was midnight, the moon illuminated the dark Tokyo prison, which was under heavy police surveillance, while a group of people headed to the location where they would leave the hidden vehicle while they infiltrated the place. Kakishibo, very well, I see cameras there, and there. He said while pointing at the many cameras in the area. Daki, you will stay here and get ready to start the car when we leave. Daki understood. He would say, returning to the car. Kakishibo, Akaza and Gyutaro, I need you north. The cameras are there. You'll tank 2 police officers and turn off all the electricity for 5 minutes, then turn it back on. He'll tell them where to go and give them a map showing the location. Akaza, okay, there's just one problem, and that's that a police officer is patrolling the area. When Gyutaro and I try to enter undetected, it'll be a problem. He would say, showing the officer who was patrolling the area. Akishibo, that wouldn't be a big problem. You go to the east tower, equip your sniper rifle with the silencer, and fire tranquilizer darts at the officers who aren't detected by the cameras. You understood, but it will take me some time. Akishibo, no problem. After Akaza and Gyutaro shut down the place, it will give Shinobu and me time to enter through the ventilation duct, entering the cell area where Tanjiro is located. He would say where they would go to their objective, with Tomioka being the first, who would knock out a policeman in the tower, arming his weapon, with which he would put 4 guards to sleep, including the one on Gyutaro and Akaza's side. The mission complete, field secured, signaling to continue, he would say, speaking through his earpiece to Akaza, who would do his part, climbing sections of cables towards the electrical office alongside Gyutaro, who would knock several guards unconscious. Gyutaro, I'll turn off the cameras and you turn off the light, understood? He would say, and Akaza would nod, while informing Kakishibo, who was waiting to enter the duct with Shinobu, only with the problem of being seen by the guards. Akaza 321, thus the boy would turn off the lights, where Kakishibo and Shinobu would enter the ventilation area, where he would move in the direction of the cells. Kakishibo, well done, guys. Stay alert for anything. He would say this as he arrived at the place, where he would see the many cells and the guards in the place. Shinobu, how will we get them to leave? Before she could say or do anything else, someone arrived at the scene. It was none other than Muzan Kibutsuji, who was surrounded by many uniformed men. Akishibo, it's Muzan, but what on earth is he doing here? He said, astonished at the sight of the man. Shinobu, so he's Muzan Kibutsuji, the man Tanjiro works for. She said, watching as the man stopped at one of the cells. Muzan, what's wrong? Don't you want to see me? Tanjiro, still dressed in a prison uniform, would say, looking out the cell window. Tanjiro, I hope your visit here is to get me out of this terrible place. He said as he approached the smiling man. Muzan, hahaha, what makes you think I'd do that? Tanjiro, because if you don't, you'll go to hell with me. He said with an angry expression. Muzan, you can do whatever you want, you'll never manage to turn everyone against me. He would say laughing. Tanjiro, you damned bastard. I swear I'll kill you. Muzan, how will you do it? You're in prison now, what a shame. You actually remind me of your father, what a shame. Tanjiro, what do you know about my father? Muzan, so Kakishibo didn't tell you, well, it was me who killed him, it was me who killed your whole family. Upon hearing this, Tanjiro would be shocked, his eyes widening, while Shinobu would be astonished, but Kakishibo would tell her to be quiet while looking sadly around the place. Tanjiro, that's not true, Kakishibo would never lie to me. He said while hitting the bars that prevented him from reaching the man. Muzan, how sad, and even more so that you found out through me, not through him, he said as he left the place. I hope you enjoy your new home, because you will be here forever. And so the man left, leaving the boy alone, who stared at the ground while thinking about how Kakishibo was capable of betraying him. Shinobu, let's go down, it's now or never. She would say, where both would leave the place, where Shinobu would take the keys from the wall, where she would go to open the cell where Tanjiro was. TanjiroxShinobu, he would say, amazed to see the girl, who was trying to guess which of all the keys was the one for the boy's cell. Shinobu, calm down, Tanjiro, I'll get you out of there right away. She said, and after a moment she managed to open the cell, where she ran into the boy's arms. Tanjiro, I'm glad to see you, he said while shedding a few tears. Shinobu, I was so worried I thought I'd never see you again. She would say this while crying on the boy's chest. Tanjiro, but how did you get in here? Shinobu, we all came for you, Tanjiro. She would say this as she separated from the hug as they left the cell, encountering Kakishibo. Kakishibo, Tanjiro, then the boy advanced towards Kakishibo, where he slammed him against a wall while grabbing him by the neck. Tanjiro, you damn traitor. He would say, squeezing Kakishibo's neck even tighter. Kakishibo, I know you're angry, but first let me explain please, he would say with difficulty, but Shinobu would appear and try to make Tanjiro let go of Kakishibo. Shinobu, Tanjiro, let him go. We'll talk about it later. First, we need to get out of here. Tanjiro thought for a moment but decided to obey. He let go of Kakishibo as they both escaped, reaching the exit where the others were waiting for them. Gyutaro, we did it. Now let's go and not come back. At that moment an alarm would sound, many guards would come out, seeing the group, who would run towards the vehicle. Attention. Attention. The suspect has escaped. I repeat. The suspect has escaped. Many patrol cars would then set out in search of the group, who would speed through the city. Tanjiro, the whole city is full of police. We have to get out of the city. That way Daki, who was driving, would leave the city undetected. Kakishibo, let's hope they don't follow us. At that moment the man received a blow that made him get out of the vehicle. Tanjiro, damn it. He would say, astonishing everyone. Kakishibo, wait, Tanjiro, let me explain. Tanjiro, what? You knew about my parents' killer all along. And yet you kept your mouth shut. He would say as he climbed on top of Kakishibo, where he would beat him relentlessly until Akaza separated them. Akaza, Tanjiro. You need to calm down. He would say while holding the boy tightly, who would calm down while looking at the man. Tanjiro, I trusted you, I even thought you were like my father, but it seems I was wrong. He said this as he ran off towards the side of the forest. Shinobu, I'll go with him, so the girl went behind the boy while the others helped Kakishibo. Akaza, are you alright, Kakishibo dono? Kakishibo, yes, don't worry, they're just scratches. He said, getting up from the spot. Shinobu. She would be looking for Tanjiro, where she would see him contemplating the sunrise while looking at the city of Tokyo from a precipice. Shinobu, Tanjiro. She would say, approaching the boy, who, upon noticing her presence, would turn his gaze towards her. Tanjiro, Shinobu, what are you doing here? You should leave, your sisters are surely worried about you. He said as he looked back towards the city. Shinobu, I know, but first I'd like to talk to you. She said, sitting down next to the boy, where they remained in quiet silence until he calmed down. Tanjiro, I trusted him, I really believed he was family. Upon hearing these words, Shinobu would be astonished, as she thought that Kakishibo and Tanjiro shared the same blood. Shinobu, but he's your uncle, why do you think you're not family? Tanjiro, he's not my uncle, he's my father's brother, but he's not related by blood. Shinobu, well, I don't know what to say, but you should talk to him, he must have a reason why he didn't tell you that. She said, resting her head on Tanjiro's shoulder. Tanjiro, I don't know, how do you know he was also involved in that murder? He said while hugging the girl, who shook her head. Shinobu, well, I haven't known him for very long, but I know he's a very kind and friendly person, and if I hid that from you, it was for a reason, don't you think? Moving towards his lips, the girl affectionately kissed the boy, who returned the kiss without hesitation. Tanjiro, thank you, Shinobu, I needed that. He would say, smiling, which would excite the girl, but then Kakishibo would appear with an expression of regret. Kakishibo, Tanjiro, can we talk? Receiving no response from the boy, he was about to leave, but Shinobu grabbed his arm, making him stand next to him while she walked away. Tanjiro, what do you have to say? He would say this without looking at the man. Kakishibo, I wanted to apologize to you, I know it wasn't right to hide all this from you, and I regret it, you know, I thought that if I didn't tell you the truth, I would be able to keep you safe, but it seems it wasn't the best decision I made. Tanjiro, keep me safe. You wanted to keep me safe. While working for the same person who murdered my parents, what utter stupidity. He said, his face contorted with rage, digging his fingers into the ground. How did you get into this? Tell me. Kakishibo lowered his head, his eyes fixed on the ground. Yuanta, Kakishibo. A long time ago, about 30 years, my parents, who were part of a mafia organization at the time, were killed by agents while selling illegal substances. After their deaths, I was left alone with my brother, YoriichiTsuyikune. We both spent several days on the streets, looking for a place to live. Back then, I would have liked to get a job, but I was only 4 years old. I was just a child. Yoriichi, brother, where are you going? The little boy said, while looking at the boy who was coming out of the alley where he was. Kakishibo, I'll go get something to eat, don't worry. I was always getting into trouble because I stole from other people so I could eat with my brother. But one day something happened that I never imagined. It seems you need help. How about you come with me to my house? Kakishibo, no, we can't, we don't know who you are, he said while trembling with fear. Relax, I just want to help you. His name was Sumiyoshi Kamado, who offered us a beautiful place to live. There, we can meet your father, Tanjiro Kamado, a very kind and intelligent young man. Tanjiro, hello, are you my new brothers? He said smiling. Kakishibo, well, I think so. Tanjiro, how exciting. I'm Tanjiro Kamado, it's a pleasure to meet you all. We had a very special bond, the three of us treated each other like true brothers, despite not being blood relatives. Tanjiro was very kind to us, and from then on, you would call him brother. Kakishibo, brother, where are you headed? Yoriichi, well, I heard dad talking about an illness, he's not sick, is he? Kakishibo, I don't think so, maybe it's just a misunderstanding. The same man who had saved us, who would become our father, had a heart condition, and sadly, there was no cure. Many years passed before we finally turned 18. Yoriichi, dad, I managed to get accepted into the military academy. Sumiyoshi, that's amazing, I'm happy for you, cough cough. Kakishibo, are you alright, dad? Sumiyoshi, don't worry, it's just a slight cough, nothing serious. Although we hesitated, we had to accept it. A whole year passed, during which Yoriichi left for the academy, leaving us to care for Papa. However, a few months later, his illness progressed rapidly and his body could endure it. He died soon after. Tanjiro, dad, don't go. Kakishibo, we still need you. Yoriichi was missing. He was in the middle of an attack. When he received the news, his heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. Because he was mentally unwell, he was killed in the midst of the war. We spent many days in deep depression, having lost two of the most important people in our lives. Hey kid, don't you want to work for me? You'll earn great money and you won't want for anything. Kakishibo, are you serious? I would like to, sir. Muzan Puids Lamar Muzan Kibutsuji. That's when I met him. Muzan had asked me to work with him, but there was one problem. I had to go to Tokyo, which I told my brother about. Kakishibo, Tanjiro, you won't believe it, but I managed to find a job. Tanjiro, that's impressive, where will you be working? Kakishibo, that's the problem, I have to go to Tokyo, and I wouldn't want to leave you alone. Tanjiro, oh I see, but you know what, it doesn't matter, you go to Tokyo, and you don't have to worry about me. Kakishibo, are you sure? I wouldn't want to leave you here alone. Tanjiro, don't worry, just focus on your future, I'm building mine. Kakishibo, thank you, brother. Hugging him. A few days later, I would go to the city of Tokyo, starting to work for Muzan as an arms dealer, where in a short time, I would manage to accumulate a huge amount of money while rising in rank until I became one of Muzan's special men who were in charge of guiding a team for the jobs. Muzan. Well done, Kakishibo, now you need to form your own team so you can continue working. Kakishibo, that fight Muzan-sama. Not long after, I managed to find the right people, with whom I worked for 2 whole years, but they were all killed by the police during a delivery at the Japanese border. Muzan, I'm sorry to tell you this, Kakishibo, but your entire team was wiped out at the border, and we couldn't do anything. Kakishibo, don't worry Muzan-sama, everything is fine. A few years later, now 22 years old and looking for a new team, I received a call from my brother Tanjiro. Call. Kakishibo, hello brother, what can I do for you? Tanjiro, hey brother, I wanted to ask if you were busy. Kakishibo, well, not at the moment. Tanjiro, I'd like you to come here to Kyoto. I have something I'd like to show you. Kakishibo, then I'll arrive shortly. Tanjiro, okay, I'll wait here. Kakishibo, okay. End of call. I would manage to reach Kyoto, where upon arrival I would be received by my brother's wife, who would let me in and show me her children. Hello, you must be Michikatsu, my husband's brother. Kakishibo, that's right, it's a pleasure. The pleasure is all mine, I'm Kai Kamado, and these are my children and Tanjiro's. Come, children, introduce yourselves to your uncle. Tanjiro, hello Uncle Michikatsu, I'm Tanjiro Kamado, it's a pleasure. Kakishibo, hello Tanjiro, it's nice to meet you. Nezuko, I'm Nezuko Kamado, it's a pleasure to meet you Uncle Michikatsu. Kakishibo, hello Nezuko, the pleasure is all mine, little one. Seeing you and your sister reminded me a lot of your grandfather and my brother because you looked very similar to him, while your sister maintained the same personality that Yoriichi showed when we were children. Tanjiro, hello brother, I'm glad you came, come on. Taking Kakishibo to another room, which looked more like a laboratory. Kakishibo, your children are very cute, you know, they reminded me a lot of Dad and Yoriichi. Tanjiro, you're right, I see it all the time. He said laughing. Kakishibo, and why did you ask me to come? Tanjiro, I've discovered something very impressive and it's the most powerful jewel in the world. He said while taking out a scroll, which showed a red stone surrounded by a dragon. Kakishibo, you speak of the legend of the dragon ruby, I'm sorry, brother, but it's nothing more than a legend. Tanjiro, that's what I thought too, until I found this. He said, taking out a piece of a map, which marked the location of the legendary jewel. Kakishibo, it can't be. Tanjiro, that's right, it's incredible, but unfortunately, the map is split in half, which tells me that the other part is hidden somewhere in Japan. Kakishibo, I never imagined anything like this is a huge discovery. Tanjiro, I know and that's what I fear. Kakishibo, what are you talking about? Tanjiro, well, recently, a man came looking for information about the dragon ruby, however, I refused to give him that information, as it's not something dangerous, and it shouldn't fall into the wrong hands, so I can't tell the police, since I'm afraid something bad might happen. Kakishibo, and what do you plan to do? Tanjiro, well, right now I can only trust one person, and that's you, brother. I need you to keep this safe and secure. He said, handing the map to Kakishibo. Kakishibo, I can't accept this is your life's work, it would be heartbreaking if you gave it to me. Tanjiro, I know, but I have a bad feeling, so I want you to do 2 things for me, one is to take care of this map, as it's very important to me, and the second is, if something were to happen to me, I would like you to take care of my 2 children. He said something serious, while taking Kakishibo by both shoulders, who shook his head. Kakishibo, no, why do you think something will happen to you? Besides, you can't leave me, Dad and Yoriichi, they both died, I can't lose you too, he would say with teary eyes. Tanjiro, I'm not saying anything will happen to me, it's just a hunch, but I want you to promise me, he would say, smiling in a pleading and sad way. Kakishibo, I promise, brother. After that, I said goodbye to him, taking the Dragon Ruby map with me, which I would keep in a safe place. Many things happened afterward. I had managed to find a new team, made up entirely of children. One was brave and very charismatic, and despite being only 10 years old, he was very skilled in martial arts. Another, who was incredibly skilled with melee weapons, was only 9 years old and could fight anyone who crossed his path. Finally, a friendly and positive 7-year-old boy showed me his great interest in sniper rifles. Akishibo, I will train you so that in the future you will be great co-workers. After a year, my body had begun to weaken, which led me to visit a doctor who told me about a heart condition, the same one that had endangered my father's life, so I decided to undergo surgery. Lods very well, Michikatsu. So far your health has improved, I'm happy for you. Akishibo, thank you so much, Dr. Kochou, for saving me from my illness. Lods, don't worry, but that is just part of my job. I spent many days resting, and not long after, I received news that left me speechless, that crushed me and shattered me. My brother had died in a fire, and the only survivors were his children. Now I understood why he had said those words to me the last time we saw each other. Akishibo, first it was Dad, then Yoriichi, and now you, Tanjiro. Why is this happening to me? Even though I was devastated, I had to accept taking care of you all until you could take care of yourselves, but I never imagined something so terrible would happen. I had decided to stay in Kyoto for a while, but then the news reached me again. My doctor, Lord Kochou, had died in a car accident along with his wife. I would have liked to be at his funeral that day, but I was just as distraught over the death of a friend. Akishibo, I'm sorry, my friend, but I couldn't be there for your death. I hope that if I ever die we'll meet again in the afterlife, he said, tears streaming down his face. I could N''T stay in Kyoto for long. I had to get back to work. So I decided to enroll you and Nezuko in a school in Tokyo, but seeing your potential, I came up with something better. Training you here for a year and then moving to Tokyo. Akishibo, Tanjiro, how about you work with me? You'll earn a lot of money and you won't have to worry about money for a long time. Tanjiro, that sounds good, but if that's the case, I should drop out of school. Akishibo, that's not how it works, you'll just be working nights with some guys while you study during the day. He said, handing them some papers that explained the job. Tanjiro. But Uncle Michikatsu, it says here that I have to stay here in Kyoto to be trained. He said, and the man nodded. But I promised Nezuko we'd go to Tokyo together, I can't stay. Akishibo, I know it's hard and I won't pressure you, just think about it and tell me what you want. He would say, well, the boy thought about many things as the man waited patiently. Tanjiro, you know what, I'll accept working with you, he would say, and the man would smile. Akishibo, alright, we'll start training tomorrow, so get ready. He said as the boy left the room. At that same moment, my phone started ringing. It was Muzan, asking me to meet him. When I arrived, he told me the truth. He said that he was my brother's killer and that he was the one who set the house on fire. Akishibo, why did you summon me? Muzan, I just wanted to ask you a question, and that is, do you know anything about the Dragon Ruby? Akishibo, I don't know anything about something called that, why do you ask? Muzan, perhaps only because your brother was the one who discovered its existence. Akishibo, and yet I know nothing about such a thing. Muzan, what a pity, that's why Tanjiro died, for keeping his mouth shut. Akishibo, what are you talking about? Muzan, it's true you don't know, well, I'll tell you now, I was the one who killed him. He would say this while Akishibo just watched in silence until his enormous anger made itself known. Akishibo, what the hell did you do? You damn son of a bitch. Why the hell did you do it? Muzan, for refusing to do business with me, this is how it works. Either you do as I say, or you die. Akishibo, you bastard, I'll kill you. Then he warned me that he would kill them both if I tried to do anything against him, which at first I thought were worthless words, until when I got home I couldn't find them. Akishibo, Nezuko. Tanjiro. And that's when I saw it. I saw your sister dead, while you were holding her tightly and shouting to the heavens. At that moment I understood that Muzan wasn't lying, and I decided to keep you away from this. Akishibo, I'm sorry Tanjiro, but you can't work with me. Tanjiro, you can't tell me no anymore, now I'll work with you whether you like it or not. He said in a serious and annoyed tone. But it was too late and I tried to tell you the truth many times, but I always remembered that I was putting your life in danger. Until one day I saw your interest in Shinobu-san, and it seemed to me that it was the best way to pull you out of my darkness. I know I'm not your father, but at least I'll try to be a substitute who helps you as much as he did. The end of the Akishibo story. Tanjiro, I didn't know you'd been through all that. He said, letting a couple of tears fall down his cheek and onto the ground. Akishibo, don't worry, I just hope that wherever they are, we'll be reunited very soon. She would say this, unable to hold it in any longer, and let her tears fall. Tanjiro, I'm sorry for everything I said, it's just that everything that's happened has hurt me too, but now I know I truly have someone I can trust. Before anything else, the two Ritids shared a hug while watching the beautiful sunrise. End of chapter 11. 12. It was always you. Tanjiro had regained his trust in Kakishibo, who now felt relieved, having finally unburdened himself of his tragic past. They returned to the others waiting in the forest by the car. Tanjiro, sorry for the delay, but I needed some peace and quiet. He said with a smile. Akaza, don't worry, what's more important now is how we'll make Muzan pay. Akaza said with an expression determined to finish off the man. Kakishibo first, we have to stop his plan, that means we'll search for what he wants, the dragon ruby. Happily, the other half isn't needed to find it. Tanjiro, Kakishibo is right, we have to stop Muzan from finding him. Kakishibo, there's just one problem, and that is that I've been looking at the map for a few hours until I realized that the path is written with a kind of invisible ink and only a black light can help us, he would say, where everyone in the place would start thinking until Tanjiro came up with something. Tanjiro, well, it's a bit risky for us to go all the way to my house for something like that, however, there's someone who possesses one, he said while looking at Tomioka, who quickly realized who that person was. That's right, that girl's she used one for a science project the other day, he would say, and upon hearing the name Shinobu, she would look somewhat seriously at Tanjiro. Shinobu, and how do you plan to obtain it? Tanjiro, her house is close by, I just have to distract her while you and Kakishibo go in and steal that light. Kakishibo, alright, there's no time to lose, we're still wanted by the police, so we'll go to my house to hide, since I live outside the city. He would say, and everyone would nod. Shinobu, wait a second, Tanjiro, wouldn't it be better to get rid of that prisoner's uniform? She would say, handing her uniform to the boy, who would quickly change. Tanjiro, thank you, Shino-chan. He would say this while giving her a kiss on the forehead. Shinobu, it's nothing, Tanji-chan. Then they both got into the car on their way to the girl's house. Time skip. A few minutes later, they all arrived at the girl's house, where at first Tanjiro didn't know whether to talk to her or not, since he still hated her with all his heart, but in the end he agreed so that Shinobu and Kakishibo could enter his house. Tanjiro, hello, he would say, ringing the doorbell and waiting for it to be opened until the girl came out, surprised by the boy's presence. So Tanjiro? What are you doing here? Tanjiro, well, I wanted to talk to you, and I hope you listen. Yeah, what an idiot, let's see what I can come up with. I just hope Shinobu doesn't take too long. He said to himself. Meanwhile, Shinobu and Kakishibo were seen entering through the window of the house. Shinobu, Kakishibo dono, she would say, calling to the man, where she would see the girl searching through her things, where she would take out the blacklight flashlight. Kakishibo, very well done, let's get out of here before it gets too late. He would say as they returned to the window, but before leaving, Shinobu would notice something very impressive. Shinobu, Kakishibo dono, look at this, she would say, showing him a picture depicting the girl next to Muzan Kibutsuji himself. Kakishibo, impossible, that can only mean one thing. Shinobu, no way, I have to call Tanjiro right now. She said, taking out her cell phone. But Tanjiro. Tanjiro, and well, that's how I realized it belonged to my neighbor. So Tanjiro, if you came to my house to talk about your neighbor's rabid cat that you killed with a flamethrower, well, you could have told me some other day. She said with a serious expression while Tanjiro was just thinking of a new lie, but he saw the girl approaching him, better yet, just tell me that you came here so you could see me. Tanjiro, at that moment his cell phone started ringing, and he saw this as an opportunity to get away from the girl, sorry, but I have to answer this call. Tanjiro. Hello, what's up, Shinobu? Shinobu, Tanjiro. You have to get out of there. Tanjiro, wait, I don't understand you. Shinobu, it's she's the one who's been spying on you. She works for Muzan. End of call. Tanjiro, what happened? Was the line cut? At that moment he felt a weapon touch his back, which surprised him, so it's true you work for Muzan. He said, glancing sideways at the girl who was smiling devilishly. So that's right, I'm the spy who's been watching you all this time. Tanjiro, every time the police found us. So I was the one who called them. Tanjiro, all the places I was heading to. So I was the one who followed you. Tanjiro, and the other time I ran into Shinobu at the factory. So I was the one who set a trap for him. She would say, well, Tanjiro would simply close his eyes and clench his fist. Tanjiro, why? Why are you doing this? So that's a family matter, I'm only doing it to please my father. At that moment, Tanjiro turned around, twisting the girl's arm, trying to take the weapon from her, but Zoe did a backflip, freeing herself from Tanjiro, who also dropped the weapon, which flew into the air. Tanjiro, very clever. At that moment he would pull a knife from his suit, where he would run towards the girl who, after taking the weapon, would see the knife at her neck. So incredible, that was fast. Tanjiro, I'll give you some advice, and that is that it's better to use a melee weapon instead of a firearm. He would say, as he took the weapon from the girl. Oh, you're good, Tanjiro, but you didn't think I'd be alone. At that moment, several men emerged from different places, grabbed Tanjiro, and threw him to the ground. Tanjiro, what the hell? Oh, I'm sorry about all this, Tanjiro, but it's not because of you, it's because of me. She said, laughing as two more men took Shinobu and Kakishibo out of the house. Tanjiro, very well, Zo, what is it you want? Dama, it's not what she wants, it's me. Dama appears and approaches Tanjiro, who looks at him with complete disinterest. It seems there's no prison that can stop you. Tanjiro, and there's no place I'll stop at to kick your ass when I find you. He'd say, smiling, while Dama just glared at him angrily. Dama, very funny, Tanjiro, but you're not capable of that. Tanjiro, do you want to test me? Dama, first, I'd like you to answer me. What are you doing here? While they were talking, Kakishibo managed to hide the flashlight in his pocket without being detected. Tanjiro, let's just say I was bored and wanted to have some fun. Dama A. Kakishibo, now. Okaza and Gyutaro would arrive at the place, where they would knock out several of the men there, while the others were put to sleep by Tomioka, who was next to a tranquilizer dart gun. Tanjiro, come here, coward. He would say while chasing Dama, who was escaping from the place along with Zo. Dama, smile now, Tanjiro, but let me tell you something, and that is that you won't always have your friends to defend you. He said this as he got into a car which quickly left the place. Kakishibo, well done team, we have to go before we're detected. Daki arrived with the car where everyone got in, but Kakishibo noticed something strange about the red-haired boy. Is something wrong, Tanjiro? Tanjiro, it's nothing, I'm just wondering who is Zo's father. She said she was doing it for her father's benefit. Kakishibo Muzan has many people by his side, among them are people with a high level of economic standing. Surely that girl is the daughter of one of them. Tanjiro, maybe, by the way, what about the blacklight flashlight? Shinobu, Kakishibo Dono managed to hide it in her suit. When you were talking to that guy Dama, she would say where Kakishibo would take out the device, where she would give it to Tanjiro. Tanjiro, okay, let's see this. The boy then took out the map, and when he shone his flashlight on it, it revealed a path that ran through a whole forest. Kakishibo, well. Tanjiro, I can see the path, but this forest seems to belong to the city of Osaka. Shinobu, in that case, we need to leave immediately, as it's quite far. She would say as Kakishibo began checking his cell phone, finding the fastest route to Osaka. Kakishibo, okay, I have the location, it's time to go. The whole group then headed towards Osaka. Dama after them, something tells me they know something about the Dragon Ruby, he would say as several men got into their cars and secretly followed the group. So Mr. Dama, you know how my father's plans are going, she said, approaching the man. Dama, I can only tell you that we're close to achieving it. He would say, smiling. Elsewhere. Annie was cooking, while Kana was engrossed in a book. Annie, Shinobu hasn't left her room in a long time, I should talk to her. She quickly went to her sister's ability, but found it completely empty. Shinobu. Anna, what's wrong, sister? Why are you shouting? Annie, Shinobu isn't in her room. She must have gone to look for Tanjiro. Anna, don't worry, we should look for her. Annie, okay, let's go before my blood sugar drops. End of chapter 13. My father's treasure. Tanjiro and the others were heading towards Osaka in search of the legendary jewel, the Dragon Ruby. While they were heading towards Osaka, Dama and his men were following behind them unseen. Kakishibo, alright, we're just a few minutes away, so get ready, something tells me this won't be so easy to achieve. He said to the group of boys who were listening attentively to the man's words. Tanjiro, we need to arm ourselves against any kind of trouble. The boy said as he took out a bag containing different types of firearms. I'll stay in the car to make sure I protect him. Kakishibo, good idea, just make sure you stay in touch. He would say, handing a radio to the dark-haired man, who would accept it and arm his weapon. Time skip. The group would travel through the entire city until they reached a forest which prevented them from continuing their journey by car, forcing them to get out of the vehicle. Tanjiro, wait for us here, Gyu, we'll be back in a few moments. Gyu, okay, thus leaving Tomioka in charge of the car, they all walked for a few minutes, until they reached a huge rock. Kakishibo, the map indicates that this is the place. Gyutaro, but there's nothing here. He would say, looking around, but they wouldn't see any list indicating they were in the right place. Tanjiro, we just have to search until we find it. So the team began to search without any success, until after a few minutes. Shinobu, Tanjiro, come see this. The girl said upon seeing several letters on one side of the rock. Tanjiro, well done, Shinobu. Now we just need to see what it says here. He said, looking at the letters until he could read what they said, if you seek treasure, you must look to the north, however, only the sun will be your guide, and the moon the lost one. The Kaza, okay, and what the hell does that mean? He would say, sounding frustrated. Kakishibo, it's a riddle, but it doesn't make any sense. Before anyone could speak, the stone would begin to tremble, then it would split in half, revealing a box inside. Gyudro, but what the hell is that? He said, looking at the strange box, which Tanjiro approached and picked up. Akaza, could it be the dragon's ruby? Akishibo, I don't know. The boy then opened the box, revealing another map inside, leaving everyone surprised but annoyed. Gyudro, it's a joke. Akaza, another map. Akishibo, hey, don't be lazy, we just have to follow him and we'll be able to find what we're looking for. He would say, taking the map and putting it in his suit. Shinobu, let's go back, Tomioka must be bored from waiting so long. So they went back along the path, but they were all surprised by several men who pointed various weapons at the group, who then took their weapons as well. Tanjiro, what the hell? Where's Giyu? I'm afraid that here, he would say, appearing alongside Tomioka, who was all beaten up and had a gun to his head. Akishibo, damn you, Dama, let Tomioka go right now. Relax, Kakishibo, I'll only do this until the boss arrives, and it seems he's already here. A helicopter descended from the sky, and Muzan got out when it landed, but he wasn't alone. Muzan, hello everyone, can anyone tell me who lost this? He would say, where two men would take out Kani and Kanao who were tied up with ropes. Shinobu sisters. She would say where she was and try to run to help her sisters, but would be held back by Tanjiro. Tanjiro, calm down, Shinobu, we'll help you, but first we need to calm down. He said while looking at the girl who was glaring at Muzan with hatred. Muzan, hey there, Tanjiro. Tanjiro, what do you want? Muzan, what do you say we make a deal? Tanjiro, and what could it be? He said while gripping his weapon. Muzan. You must give me the treasure right now and I will give you the lives of your friends. Then you will return to prison. Tanjiro, no way, do you really think I'd accept something like that? He said with anger in his eyes, which were fixed only on the man. Muzan, well, at least I tried. Muzan then punched Giyu hard in the stomach before pulling out a knife and holding it to the boy's neck. You have 3 seconds to hand over the treasure and your weapons. Making a small brush with the weapon, he touched Tomioka. Or else your friend will meet his end. Akishibo, Tanjiro, he killed him, we must do something. His words were empty because the boy could not hear the shoulders call, only see how one of his friends was about to die. Muzan 1-2 and, before saying the number, Tanjiro would raise his hands along with his other companions, where Muzan would just smile and leave Tomioka in Dauma's care. Tanjiro, enough. Here's what you're looking for. The boy then handed the map to the man, who gladly accepted it. Muzan, good decision, now I want everyone to put down their weapons so that my men can put the handcuffs on them. He would say, where at first Kakishibo and Tanjiro would refuse, but then accepted upon seeing Shinobu's sisters as well as Tomioka in mortal danger. Everyone get in the car. Thus the boys, who were now handcuffed, were transferred to Tokyo prison, where Sanemi would gladly receive them, putting everyone in a cell, except for Shinobu and her sisters whom he would set free. I'm sorry, friends, I was easily captured. He said, lowering his head sadly. Tanjiro, don't blame yourself, Kani and Kanao were also hostages of those bastards, so we couldn't do anything. He said as he sat down next to Kakishibo, who remained completely silent. Akaza, we've failed. Muzan will obtain the dragon ruby, and thus he'll be able to destroy Japan, even if we can't stop him. I just hope that if that happens, Koyuki won't be in danger. Gyudro, if that's the case we must get out of here or what happens to us? Akishibo, calm down, Gyudro, it's almost impossible now. Even if we can get out of the cell, we can't leave the building without being seen by the guards. He said while sighing, making everyone in the place look hopelessly. Tanjiro, I hope you're alright, Shinobu. Han, Shinobu. Annie, were you crazy or what? Shinobu, I'm crazy. What were you doing there? Now hey, don't fight. Annie, I came out to look for you. You had me so worried. Shinobu, well, you should have thought of that before looking for me. Because of you, Tanjiro and my friends are in jail. She said, shedding large tears. Annie, Shinobu, I understand it was a mistake. All this time I thought Tanjiro was a criminal, but now I realize he was only trying to help Japan, she said, calming down. Shinobu, how do you know? Annie, Giyu told me before they went into prison. I didn't think I'd be wrong about protecting you, and that's what led me to do something unforgivable, she would say, looking down at the ground where Kanao and Shinobu would be looking sad, their eyes welling up with tears. Shinobu, Kani. Annie, I promised mom and dad I would always protect you, like a good sister, but I failed at that. She said, then looked at Shinobu who was crying uncontrollably. At least I would like you to have a peaceful and quiet life with the ideal person, but I'm the one to blame for you being separated now. Unable to bear it any longer, Shinobu hugged Kani, who returned the hug while she poured out her heart. Shinobu, you were the best older sister I could have ever had. Our parents would be so proud of how you took care of Kanao and me. You really are a very special woman, Kani. She said, where she is, I can only cry more until she calms down completely. Annie, thank you, sister, I needed that. she said while smiling, as did Shinobu, who moved away from the hug and then sat down next to Kani and Kanao on a piece of furniture. Shinobu, how did you fall into Muzan's clutches? Annie, well, let me tell you. Flashback. Annie, along with Kanao, walked through the streets of Tokyo, searching for Shinobu, asking different people who denied it every time the girl asked about her sister's whereabouts. Annie, excuse me sir. Muzan, what is it you need, miss? Annie, have you seen this girl? She's my sister and I can't find her. She would say, showing him a picture of the girl, which made the man smile. Muzan, of course I've seen her. Anna, really? Can you tell us where you are? Muzan, of course, come with me. Then flashback. Annie, after that I don't remember much, but I could see two guys appear and grab both my hands, she would say, remembering how after that they were put in a car. Shinobu, maldito Muzan. And now calm down, sister, at least we're okay. Shinobu, I know, but Tanjiro and my friends are in prison now and I must save them. She would say where she is and put on a serious expression. Annie, you can't do that, there must be a better way. Shinobu, I'm sorry, sister, but if I don't do it, all of Japan will pay the consequences. And now then we'll help you. Shinobu, no, I'll do it myself, just stay calm. She said, giving her sisters a hug and leaving the house towards Tanjiro's house, where she would get some weapons along with a rope. I'm ready. Elsewhere in Japan. Muzan-sama, I inform you that our men have managed to decipher the map's code and are on their way to bring back the dragon ruby. He would say to the man who would just take a sip of sake and then look out the window. Muzan, excellent, tell Nakam to head to Tokyo prison to exterminate Kakishibo and his group because I have a feeling those bars won't be enough to stop them. He said, smiling as Dauma left the place. So why didn't I go and kill Tanjiro? Muzan, for the same reason I didn't send Dauma, and that's because both Dauma and you will be coming with me to England. He would say to the girl, who would just look at him with displeasure. So you're bad, father. Muzan, I know, daughter, but the punishment will come. He said, smiling, then took another sip of his sake. With Tanjiro. They stood in silence, each trying to think of a way to escape the prison, but it was impossible since it was more heavily fortified than before. Tanjiro, any ideas? Akishibo, don't worry, help is on the way. Bakaza, and may I ask who that is? Akishibo, you'll see when he arrives. Tanjiro, I just hope she arrives soon, he said while looking out the window, I hope you're alright, Shino-chan. Shinobu. The girl had arrived at the Tokyo prison, where she would quickly show use of her entertainment, where she would climb to the roof of the prison to enter through the ventilation system. Shinobu, what's going on? Aren't there any guards? Just then, a noise reached her ears and she saw that it was a group of people walking down the prison corridor. Tsunemi, the prisoners are in cell B6, the white-haired man would say to the group of people who were heading towards the place where Tsunemi was guiding them. Shinobu, what could be happening? End of chapter 14. You will not escape. Shinobu had managed to infiltrate the prison undetected, however she was not the only one who had arrived at the prison, as a woman named Nakam had arrived along with 4 men, with the order to annihilate the group of boys, along with Kakishibo who were still in the cell in despair. Shinobu, I must find a way to follow them without being seen, but if I set foot on the ground I will be detected immediately. The girl would continue looking for a way, but without further complications, she would go through the ventilation duct where she would arrive at a place where there were many cells, as well as several guards watching over them. Tsunemi-san said we had to go and meet some people in the meeting room, one of the guards said to another. Well, we don't have to wait any longer. The guards would then leave, and Shinobu would take the opportunity to search the cells without any success. Shinobu, damn it, they're not here, I should look somewhere else. The girl went back into the duct, walking a little way through it until she saw a woman sitting next to several guards beside her. Nakam, excuse me, Commissioner, but I really need to see the prisoners from B6. I have a couple of questions to ask them. Turning towards Tsunemi, who just shook his head. Tsunemi, Nakam-san, I really would like to help you, but I'm being told that it's not possible since you're forbidden from any kind of communication with anyone. He would say this while Nakam just looked serious until she let out a sigh and then got up from her seat. Nakam, it's a shame, but I really need to talk to them. Shinobu, how strange, I should see what they're talking about. Shinobu tried to listen to the conversation the woman was having with the officer, but then she placed her hand on the duct door, which opened, falling to the ground and drawing everyone's attention. Tsunemi, what the hell? Nakam, I'm sorry, Commissioner. The girl then punched the policeman, knocking him unconscious. She then looked at the 4 men behind her and shot them with a tranquilizer dart launcher, causing them to fall asleep. Shinobu, there, that'll leave a mark, she would say, complaining of the pain, but she would see the girl pointing her gun at her. Nakam, who are you? And what were you doing up there? Shinobu, hey, calm down, I was just she would say, trying to come up with an excuse for the woman, but nothing would come to mind. Nakam, are you on Team Michikatsu? Shinobu I well no who is he? She would say trying to lie, but the woman would only look at her seriously, at which point the purple-haired girl would give up, letting out a sigh and nodding her head in a yes manner. Nakam I didn't expect that, since he never talks to me about his equipment. She said, putting away her weapon and extending her hand towards Shinobu. Shinobu but what? Nakam don't worry, she'll help you get your companions out of here, she said, reassuring the girl, who then took the woman's hand and stood up from the ground. Shinobu thank you, I'm Shinobu Kochou and you are. Nakam call me Nakam, she would say this as she walked towards the door, making sure no one was there, and then, after checking, she would run with the girl towards the B6 cells. Shinobu and why are you helping me? Nakam I'm doing this because I have something to do too. She would say, where are you? And they would run until they reached a corridor where several guards were gathered. Shinobu there are many. Nakam get ready, it looks like we have to fight. At that moment, Nakam went to where the men were, who, upon seeing her, went to her since she was an intruder. Let's go. And so the girls fought with the men, who were brutally beaten by both of them in a couple of minutes. Shinobu that was easy. Nakam these police officers are too weak, but what can we do? She would say, taking the keys from one of them, then walk to a door labeled B6, we've arrived. Shinobu finally, then the girl searched the cells, where she saw the group of boys in one, friends. Tanjiro. The boys were shocked to see her, except for Tanjiro who approached the bars where Shinobu was. Shinobu but how did you get in here? He said, taking the girl's hands. Shinobu I had some help, but now I'll get you out of here. Nakam then appeared and, using a key, opened the cell, allowing everyone to leave. Akaza who is she? Shinobu her name is, she would be interrupted by Kakishibo who would approach the girl. Kakishibo you finally arrived, I almost gave up for dead, he would say, complaining to the girl who would just look at him seriously. Nakam hey Michikatsu. I didn't come here to listen to your complaints. And so they both began to argue while the boys just watched in surprise and confusion. Tanjiro wait, you too. He said, stepping in front of them, who stopped arguing, as the girl looked into the Riti's eyes for a moment, is there something wrong with my face? He said, confused, until the woman approached him and hugged him, leaving everyone in shock. Nakam it's amazing how much you've grown Tanjiro, she said, still hugging the boy, who could only watch in amazement. Tanjiro wait a second. He said, pulling away from the girl, how do you know my name? Before he could say anything else, Kakishibo grabbed the boy's shoulder, who looked at him in astonishment. Kakishibo Tanjiro look at her closely doesn't she look familiar? She would say, and the boy would look at the woman again, until after a while, he would manage to remember her. Tanjiro it can't be it's you Nakam-san, at that moment, Tanjiro approached the woman again and hugged her once more, while Shinobu and the others watched in confusion. Shinobu hey Akaza do you know what's going on? She whispered. Akaza I have no idea. Tanjiro I can't believe how much you've changed, it's amazing, he said as he separated from the woman who was smiling, where Tanjiro thought about the appearance the girl had before. Nakam I'm just changing my hair, it's not a big deal. Kakishibo why don't you leave that for later? Nakam okay by the way, a girl from your team is outside the prison with some weapons. Kakishibo you're talking about Aki. Nakam that's right well, we don't have time, we must get out of here. Thus the girl guided the group to the exit, where they would then enter a truck, which was driven by a man with flame-like hair, who wore an elegant suit. TanjiroxShinobu Kyu, Ringoku-sensei. Ringoku hello my dear students, he would say smiling. Shinobu what are you doing here? Ringoku they thought they were the only ones living a second life, he would say, and the three boys would just stare in amazement, while a drop of sweat ran down their heads. Aki hey, I'm here too. The girl would say, and Gyutaro would run to her and hug her tightly. Gyutaro my dear sister, I'm so glad to see you. He said, hugging her tighter. Because well this day is full of surprises. He said as he sat down to calm down from everything he had just seen. Tanjiro tell me, Nakam-san, how do you know Ringoku-sensei and Daki? He would say, and the girl would smile. Nakam he's an old friend, he used to work with me until he retired, but he called me 2 days ago asking about you. Tanjiro about me? Nakam yes, I was the one who told him about you and about accepting you into his school. She would say, and the boy would just turn to look towards Kakishibo, who would look away. Tanjiro did you know anything about this? Kakishibo you could say that but I promise I had forgotten. He would say, and the boy would just look at him seriously until he looked at the woman again. Nakam well will you tell me who that girl is? She said, looking at Shinobu. Tanjiro well she's my girlfriend. He said blushing, while hiding his face, where everyone would be silent and surprised, except for Kakishibo, Akaza, Daki and Gyutaro, since they already knew about the boys' relationship. Nakam that did surprise me, but it's cute to see you blush. You really do look like Michikatsu when he hears Little Lump. Tanjiro Kakishibo don't say that. Both Ritids shouted angrily, while everyone laughed at what had happened. "Because Tanjiro, won't you tell us who she is? I've been wondering for a long time," he said, where the boy saw all his friends and his girlfriend who was waiting for the woman's answer. "Tanjiro, well, she's Nakam, and she's a great friend of Kakishibo's. When my family died, she raised me and Nezuko. Now I consider her family. Besides, she and Kakishibo get along really well, don't they?" Kakishibo Nakam, of course not. They would both blush while refusing to look at each other. Because of this is quite a surprise. "Tanjiro, well, it's time to prepare. We must stop Muzan right now," he said, and everyone looked at each other, then nodded. "Kakishibo, we're all with you. It's time for Muzan to feel some pain." "Tanjiro, you're right, this time he won't escape." Elsewhere. "Naoma, Muzan-sama, Kagaku has finally arrived," he would say as a boy with black hair entered, being greeted by Muzan, who was seated. "Muzan, where is it?" At that moment, the boy took out a box of his clothes which shone with great intensity. "Kagaku, you don't know how difficult it was to find it, but here it is." Upon opening the box, the legendary dragon ruby could be seen, shining brightly, while the heat it gave off could be felt. "Muzan, it's beautiful," he said while admiring the beautiful red jewel. "Kagaku, don't touch it with your hands." A guy was quickly incinerated upon contact. He would say, where Muzan would just nod and take a tool, which he would use to take the jewel so he could see it more closely. "Muzan, well done, Kagaku. Tell Dauma that we will leave immediately for England. In a couple of days we will attack Japan, but for now it is time to leave." Thus Kagaku would withdraw, and then Dauma would arrive. "Dauma is my name, Muzan-sama." "Muzan, it's time to go. Tell everyone to get in their cars, we're going to the airport to catch the plane," he said as Dauma left while Muzan put the ruby back in the box. "Oh, that's truly impressive." Zo appears, surprising Muzan. "Muzan, what are you doing here? You should be in the car now." "Oh, I know, but I was curious to see that boy come into your office with this," she would say, pointing at the box. "Muzan, I can only tell you that it's best not to touch it," he said, looking out the window as the sun began to set. "We must go." End of chapter. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.